Hey Jesse, how are you? I hope you're doing well. 2 people, 2 likes. Cynthia, how are you? Oh shit. Nick Carroll, how are you? Marcy, how are you? Ryu, how are you, my friend? Delirium, how are you feeling tonight? Harry, how are you? Kathy Hayes. Wow, it was weird having one extra day this week from last week, having 8 days instead of 7 days. Like that gap, that longer gap, I guess, between live streams. I really wasn't feeling it. Holidays, and how are you? Sharon, Don Combs, Kathy Hayes, Harry, MJ Bates, how are you, dear? Aramek! The whole fam damly. What's up, 175? Got some good stuff for you tonight. Feeling kind of tired, but I literally did some stretches to wake up. DB Mac, Alligator Horse. There's Jimmy. How are you, Jimmy? Colleen. My week was well. Thank you. Jesse Good. Random Man. Monkey Crap. My week was good. It was no haircut. No, it's no haircut. I don't know if it's tired, but it's like my week was not good, actually. It was long, and I don't know. Simone, how are you, dear? Jimmy. Carol Hollenbeck, how are you? John Collins. I asked my wife, am I the only one she's ever been with? She said, yes, because all the other guys were... Oh, that was good, buddy. That was good, Aramek. Birthday was good. Thank you for asking, Jim. She went to Red Lobster because that's where she wanted to go. She wanted that seafood boil bag. Fucking gross. But yeah, she had a good birthday. It was very nice. And then a day later, she's sending me a fucking list of stuff she wants for Christmas. And I'm like, dude, you just had a birthday. I'm like, that was your Christmas. Just kidding. Leslie September. Had a great week. Rained here constantly. I don't sleep at all. I just don't sleep. It was funny though, because she's like, what, Daddy? I'm like, I'm only kidding, buddy. I love you. I love that you're getting the fuck out soon. No, I'm just kidding. She's never going to move out. She will be attached to my house forever. Jager, how are you? Yeah, what did you see, Wesley September? It's probably some hot girl, Wesley, wasn't it? He's like, I saw her. What's up, Frodo? SDL, how are you? It's a gorilla t-shirt. The Gorillas, one of my favorite kind of mellow groups. even though it's one person. Nicola, how are you, my friend? Stents put in my guts and see if that works before having to do the Whipple. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I heard the Whipple is not. Oh, my Lord, delirium. That is terrifying. Walter, how are you? M1000, how are you? Key West, Cat Lady, how are you, my friend? I will say one thing. This room is a little more. I like being downstairs in the studio downstairs, but comfortable, I think, for live streams because it's smaller. Sean, what's going on, my brother? A Whipple procedure is a very complex procedure. I'll read it to her, Delirium. Simone, this is what it is. Hang on one second. Whipple procedure. All right, it's a complex procedure to remove the head of the pancreas, gallbladder, and part of the bile duct to treat cancer and severe pancreatitis. The procedure involves removing the affected parts, then reconnecting the remaining, including the stomach, pancreas, bile duct, to the small intestine. Recovery is lengthy. Potential side effects are digestive difficulties, changes in pooping, sometimes regular, requiring enzyme replacement and medication for diabetes. So it's not a good time. It's definitely not a good time. I really hope the stints work, Delirium, because geez, crow. And you are not an old person. Like, you are younger. I think you're younger than me. So that's fucking insane. What's up, 59th? Robert Sharp, how are you, my friend? Wolf Moose Bear, how are you? Talked to Shackleneck this week. Talked to him a little bit. He's doing well. Wants to say hi to everybody. He might pop in tonight. I'm not sure. Sore. I'm sorry, buddy. My parents wish everybody on the live stream a happy Thanksgiving. Big Jim especially. I was like, Dad, you're already a legend on the channel. He goes, why? Because I told the neighbor to go fuck himself. I'm like, you know it, buddy. What's up, Nexus? I will, Kathy. What's up, Jim Baker? There's Janie. How are you, Janie? Larry Lindman, how are you, brother? Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much, Larry. Appreciate you. George Coker, how are you, buddy? I had a friend that, Delirium, I had a friend that had, or that has pancreatitis or whatever. Nah, I don't need a haircut. My hair is not getting cut for a while. This is short. It's not a pen, Jim Baker. You ask that every freaking week, and you know better. You know. You don't need a haircut either, Lucas. Don't be fooled by the fucking propaganda, the short hair propaganda. Did you know that? Oh, shit. Check this out. I don't know if this is rumor or not, or myth or whatever, but my dad told me this. So in Vietnam, they would like pretty much force Native Americans to become trackers, right? Some of the best trackers in Vietnam were Native American. They allowed a lot of the Native Americans to keep their hair long during the war, and not because of why you may think, not because of cultural heritage or whatnot, but because a few of the Native Americans that had like the amazing ability of tracking, they had gotten a haircut and they were not able to track, or they lost like that touch. It's just a weird thing that I had heard, and I was like, wow, that's, and I looked into it and it's actually true. No, it's definitely true, George. Is Neck in here? What's up, Neck? I was just talking about you, big dog. You old big. And that's exactly why, Hollow Earth. That's exactly, or Hollow Days. That's exactly why. Is because of, supposedly because of like the antenna, whatnot. Nico, how are you? I don't know if Janie heard me say hi, but I did say hi. How are you? All right. 12:09. Let's start the night. Oh, last Friday we did the Appalachian grandparent stories. I don't know if you guys recall it, or if you, yeah, Aramix here, Nexus. I believe he said hi to you. He is right above 175 hydro. So I don't know if you guys recall, Andy Davis, how are you? If you recall the grandparent from Appalachia experiences, but I've got two more of those for you guys, and I'm pretty excited about those because anything out of the Appalachia is just pretty freaking cool. But this one goes out to my dear friend Aramic and the constant research he is putting into the flying humanoid community. I actually have a Lizzo Mothman experience for you guys tonight, thinking of Aramic and the just vast research he has put into it, spending minutes, days, years all into it. In 2003, when I was 13, my mom, a friend, and I were driving down the road in the defeated Highland area in Tennessee at about 3 a.m. when a huge flying creature that looked humanish flew pretty low over the car. The only thing I can think of to compare it to was that of those Jeepers Creepers movies. All three of us had seen it and were terrified. We were in a convertible with the top down, so we got a pretty good look at it. I am not a very religious person, but it makes you wonder if it was like an angel of death or something, because of that same day, 30 minutes later, my uncle was hit by a car walking home from the bar. We had passed him walking about a minute before it happened. We didn't know it was him, and my mom was eerie about picking up strangers, especially with two teens in the car. But if we had stopped, that drunk driver could have killed all of us. All things that happened that day still haunt me. I am very proof science driven person, so I don't really even tell people about this because I don't want people to think I'm insane. I just needed to put it out there. Mr. Haunted, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. Do we have enough? All right. We got enough people in right now because I want you guys to hear this one, because this one's actually very cool. When I first found this, I was thinking about that doctor, the professor doctor guy who had captured the multidimensional. And I only say like that because you don't really know the I mean, I believe that he did capture the photos of them, but we don't really know how legit it is because he's never been found after. He just disappeared. But I had a very terrifying experience a little less than a year ago, and I'd like to share this with you guys. This is not something that I have told anyone in my personal life because, well, it sounds ridiculous. In 2018, I had gotten into studying our human origins, spirituality, and psychedelics. I did a lot of mirror work while tripping on shrooms and would often ask my spirit guides for clarity, reassurance. After studying theories about star seeds and other ETs, I thought I'd ask my spirit guides for a visitation. I didn't really care how it happened. I just wanted to see something. I communicated with them that I had lots of land in my backyard for a landing strip, kind of jokingly, but also kind of serious. You never know how they may want to travel. I didn't specify the type of entity I wanted to encounter either, although in my head I had pictured a Nordic or Palladian. I do believe that our existence is not an accident and that we do have divine purpose. But even still, I just wanted to see something not of this earth. On one of my mirror work sessions while on shrooms, I held a candle under my face and stared into my bathroom mirror with the lights off. With only the help of the candle flame, I watched myself shapeshift into a reptilian creature. This occurrence did not startle me anywhere near as bad as what I am about to detail, and I am not really sure what that was supposed to represent. Maybe me being in touch with my primal egotistical ways, not sure. But after that happened, I was pretty sure I could ask for a visitation and get what I wanted. Well, I did. I came home from work one night at around 11 p.m. I entered my bedroom and turned on the light. I looked out my window that faces the backyard, and next to my son's swing set was a being that was glowing. I mean, absolutely glowing in a bright white light. I did not get a good look at it, but it was very tall. Didn't see any facial features either. I panicked. I ran out of my bedroom and had a panic attack. I was not tripping at the time, and I know what I saw was real. I was shaking so bad and I was exhausted, but I was terrified of going back into my room. I tried to de escalate myself with a shower, and when I finished, I slowly crept back into my room. I peered through that window, and the being was gone. It probably sensed that I was not ready for that. That night, I slept with the lamp on and Friends playing on TV, my feel good show. I kind of mad at myself that I screwed the pooch on this one. Maybe this could have been a wonderful experience, but I was just too damn terrified. Very interesting because I don't know how many people, if any, have had experiences with Troy, how are you with LSD? But when I was younger, I had a friend who was really into Ken Kesey and a lot of just liquid acid Kool-Aid tests and shit like that. And we would do a lot of experimentation with, like, we had a lot of liquid acid. We had some old LSD, probably from like the late 80s, which was like a Jesus Christ, that had been sealed in a packet and put in a freezer for like a couple years, mescaline and stuff. But one time I was tripping, and my friend and I, he had a brain aneurysm prior to this LSD experience. We're in the middle of the woods, and we are just standing next to each other. And we were really good friends for the majority of our lives. We'd probably still be good friends now if he didn't die. But we're standing in the woods, tripping out, not dicking off or anything. We were really kind of serious. Our other friends were in the hunting cabin playing asshole and drinking and stuff. And Mikey and I looked at each other and he said, "Do you see that thing out in the woods?" And I looked and I I don't know what I saw. I know that how the yard and woods went, it almost looked like a tunnel and with like a dome over it, and everything just felt so strange. And there was just this light all the way out in the woods. And we felt calm, but then we started to get this really, really bad feeling. So we went inside, and he and I kept looking at each other the rest of that night. Like we just felt like something was off. The next morning, we all wake up and we're all coming down from our trip. It was like the full night, and we're all hanging out and talking. And I swear that I'm just listening to everybody, looking at everybody, and for 15, 20 seconds, I went completely blind. Like I couldn't see. I could hear everybody. I just couldn't see anybody. And I remember putting my hands on the back of the car, like behind me, so I could balance. Strangely enough, Mike was in that circle with us, my friend Mikey, and he went blind as well for a split second, like I did. It's really weird. And we're really good friends. Like we were like really good friends. I was there when he had his first brain aneurysm on Christmas Day. He ended up having another brain aneurysm hunting. Actually, he had that brain aneurysm, the last one that killed him, at the same hunting camp, those woods that we were in that night. It was just weird. So I do believe in that, being able to see strange things, especially if you're not, like, if you take it seriously, you know what I mean? Like I don't condone it in any way. But it was more or less an experiment. I think we all kind of took it, and we didn't, there was times that we used it for fun, but then times that we were like just trying to experiment with it. It was fucking weird. We were weird kids. Hey, Stacy Face, how are you? Waking up at a coffee table with a spoon sticking out of my arse. Never had that happen, Arabic, but I don't think that would be too fun. Southern Charmer, how are you? I'd like to try cannabis one day and see if it creates better sleep for me. Dogman is still against it. Yeah, it does create better sleep, Nicola. Um, I'll never do any kind of thing like that again. You know what I mean? Just because of my recovery, and I'm terrified of ever. I'm like deathly afraid of relapsing, especially now being this far into my recovery. But I think like I know it has medical beneficial terms with sleep and pain and stuff. I tried that too, Stacy Face. I tried that too. That was when they used to sell it at head shops back in the day. No snow yet, Arabic. We had a little bit, but it's supposed to spit. It's cold as a dickens. What's the temp now? It's definitely like not hugging temperature. Like you go outside right now and your sack is gonna go missing. It's 23 degrees right now in upstate New York. Ayahuasca, SDL, the ayahuasca drink. Yeah, I hope we don't get too much snow. I don't mind it, but Nico, yeah, I guess it does work for a lot of people. Like, Johnny Crow Studios, how are you? I've got Coke. I'm doing my Coke. Fucking Jim Baker. You're a madman, Baker. Shackleneck, thank you so much, my good friend. I appreciate you. It was good talking to you this week, too. Sully! SoCal Sully. I still, every time I freaking see your name, think of freaking Godsmack. I don't know why. Yeah, down from Hogansburg, right into Messina. Probably one of my cousins. Last name of White. Troy. Aramek! Thank you, my brother. Nicole DK Cleaning, how are you? Thank you for joining us. You are too kind, Shackleneck and Aramek and Jimmy Mr. Haunted. I live in Central Texas, San Antonio to be exact. This whole incident happened in the span of maybe 30 to 45 seconds, maybe a minute, but it felt pretty quick and surreal. I was driving on a short stretch of elevated highway, the Wurzbach Parkway, if you know the city, traveling northbound between 281 cutting over to 35. I was passing the airport just past 1,000 Oaks, where the highway straightens out for a few miles until it slopes to ground level. It was raining, and there were not many streetlights on this part of the highway. I was traveling 60 to 65. My car is a little sedan, so I had a low view of the road. I was the only one on the highway in either direction, aside from a pair of headlights several miles behind me. In the distance ahead, maybe a half a mile or so, I saw what looked like a man or human outline running or jogging on the right-hand shoulder of the road. Aside from it being nearly 1 a.m. and on an elevated stretch of the road, I didn't think too odd. You just said it was raining, too. There are a lot of drunks in my city, and stranger things have happened. Nonetheless, I moved from the right lane to the left just in case. As I approached, I became aware of the silhouette, that it was not getting taller as you would expect as the perception shifts. Instead, it stayed the same height. Estimate 3 to 4 feet in height based on the fact that its head came to about the same height as my hood's car, or the hood on my car. I slowed down to about 55 and stared at the back of this thing, trying to make out details through my rain-soaked windshield. As soon as I got close enough for this thing to be fully in my headlights, it had dropped down to all fours, as if trying to mimic an animal. I know this was not an animal I had seen. Its size was that of a medium-sized coyote, but it was running distinctly like a person attempting to run like an animal. Its hind quarters were raised up in the air, and I could clearly make out a buttocks, and its legs kicked out sideways. If you've ever seen documentaries on feral children, to give you an idea of its gait. The only thing is that no human I have seen could run on all fours at the speed that this thing was going. The creature was entirely naked, the oily back and smooth. The rain glistened off of its skin with a shine like wet black marble or obsidian. I could make out muscle tone and everything at this thing clipped along. As it dropped to two legs, it lost speed, either intentionally or just from the change in gait. It was now running at the same pace as a person could sprint. I passed the thing, and it looks over its left shoulder toward me. Its face was flat, with a flat, wide nose. It had large eyes. I could see the whites and dilated dark pupils. There were no eye shine, which I did think was unusual. Just those eyes against the black of its skin, though it never looked directly into my headlight beams. So that may be inconsequential. It opened its mouth at one point as it looked at me. Its teeth were flat and white like a human's, but with large and prominent canines. It had hands and feet like a person. I couldn't make out any genitalia, but it was distinctly male in appearance. It had what could best be described as a swimmer's build. Its body was proportionate to that of another human, just scaled down. No crazy long limbs or anything like that. I did fumble with my phone with an intent to try to take a photo, but to be honest, I was so enamored and excited and trying to take this in as much as possible while driving on a dark, rainy road. I also didn't think a photo would show as much because of the dark, rain, and the glass of my car window. But now I am seriously thinking of getting a dash cam. I hope that the car behind me saw this thing. It was pretty obvious. I hope I've provided enough detail for an accurate report. I have no idea what I saw, but I am glad I saw it. It did not seem malicious. It looked scared, like it was not happy to be up there and just wanted to get down off the highway. I got the very distinct impression that the only reason it dropped to all fours was an attempt to mimic an animal and draw less attention to itself. It didn't have far to go till the exit, but there was a well-lit gas station in that intersection too. Aside from a few apartment buildings and scattered industrial areas, the only other stuff along this stretch was a small amusement park and an airport. There is an old abandoned concrete plant in an area next to the highway. Again, if you are local to the area, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. That was my first thought as to where this thing could have come from. It was heading away from this, though, and towards the populated area, so that didn't make much sense. I am just still floored about this thing that I saw. I am totally open to proving more details, but I believe this was pretty concise. So I believe my friends and I, I'm my next encounter. Sorry. What do you guys think that was? What would that be? A small human, that small 3 foot tall, naked, black colored skin, obsidian skin, no tail, a nose, white eye, white with pupil. Wouldn't be a crawler. Neutrino Waves, how are you? Shut up your face, how are you? Jared, how are you? Snowman Dave from the Canadian border by Vermont, or up in Vermont. Too big, SDL. Yeah, maybe it was a little person. What was that show on Discovery Channel? I mean, they did have their moments. Malformed crawler. My date last night. Oh, Colleen. Poor Colleen. Not a very good date. Not a very good date. I did just check my email. Thank you for the email. I'll respond to you in a little bit. 227. I just got it. Thank you. I'll take a look at it later on. Yeah, they said it had no genitals. But here's the thing. You're driving down the road. This thing is running, and how they described it running, they said its ass was up in the air. So you're looking straight down that thing's butt crack. You're telling me you can't see a sack or, like something else? You just, like, your car lights are on it. Its butthole is sticking out at you, right? I mean, you got a mud flap or you got something else. Come on, damn. And why is it running naked? Maybe because it didn't want to get wet. It didn't want its clothes wet. Tracy, how are you? I think it's time. It's time for a lot lizard story. It's probably the dad from that loving the Little People show. The dad escaped. I never got that show. That they had a big brother. Like, how the hell did he come out? He was like 6'1". All right. Here we go. Okay. Here we go, my friends. The neon glow of the Starlight Oasis truck stop was less celestial wonder and more garnish, flickering beacon in a desolate expanse. It was kind of a place where dreams went to get their tires rotated and hopes were traded for lukewarm coffee. And presiding over this kingdom of asphalt and desperation was Lizzo, the undisputed queen of the lot lizards. She wasn't just a worker. She was a phenomenon, a force of nature draped in a sequenced denim. Her laughter echoed like a gospel choir through the exhaust fumes. Lizzo had a voice that could melt glaciers and the spirit that refused to be dimmed by the grit and grime of her profession. She commanded respect, not through fear, but through pure, unadulterated charisma. The truckers, the weary travelers, even the other girls on the lot knew that messing with Lizzo was like trying to wrestle a glitter bomb. Messy and surprisingly painful. Tonight, however, the Starlight Oasis was buzzing with an unusual energy. The air crackled, not with the usual static of overworked generators, but with something otherworldly. Lizzo perched regally on the hood of her vibrantly painted 1974 Cadillac DeVille, a relic shimmering with more chrome than a disco ball felt it as well. Her signature hoop earrings, each the size of a small satellite dish, seemed to vibrate in symphony. Then, as if summoned by an unspoken tension, a rumble far deeper than any semi-truck engine shook the ground, headlights blinding bright and pulsing with an unnatural blue hue cut through the night. A vehicle unlike anything seen on earthly highways descended from the heavens. It was sleek, obsidian, and shaped like a colossal, leering grin. And with a sickening crunch that echoed across the truck stop, it landed squarely on Lizzo's beloved Cadillac. The DeVille, a monument of automotive exuberance, was now crumbled chrome pancake. Lizzo's jaw dropped, her meticulously applied lipstick momentarily forgotten. My baby, she wailed, her voice raw with genuine grief. Then the hatch of the alien spacecraft hissed open, and they emerged. They were unexpectedly tall, gangly creatures with the skin the color of bruised plums, sporting multiple eyes that swiveled independently, and an unnerving fondness for what appeared to be neon pink spandex. They moved with a jerky, uncoordinated gait, their slender limbs flailing as if perpetually surprised by their own existence. And their intentions were immediately clear. One of them, the apparent leader, pointed a slender three-fingered appendage at Lizzo, and a series of high-pitched guttural noises erupted from its mouth. It sounded less like communication and more like a kazoo orchestra having a seizure. The accompanying visual display projected onto the dusty asphalt depicted a crude yet lewd caricature of Lizzo. Caricature of Lizzo. What in the cosmic hell, Lizzo sputtered, her shock giving way a righteous fury. Just as the aliens began to advance, their multiple eyes fixated on Lizzo with a disturbingly gleam. Another rumble. This one, however, was familiar. A low, bassy, heavy thrum that vibrated in the chest, rolled into the starlit oasis, illuminated by the alien glow, was a vehicle that needed no introduction. A candy apple red, perfectly preserved 1972 Lincoln Continental. Its chrome gleaming, its stance impossibly low. And behind the tinted windows, a silhouette emerged, one instantly recognizable to anyone who has ever encountered the underbelly of the music industry. Hold up, a smooth, unmistakable baritone boom. The door swung open and out stepped the man himself, Snoop Dogg, the king of pimps, the patriarch of gin and juice generation, and as Lizzo now realized, with a mixture of horror and pride, her father. Snoop, clad in pristine white tracksuit and a smile that could disarm a bomb, surveyed the scene. His eyes, usually half-lidded with cool detachment, widened slightly as he took in the crushed Cadillac and the gaggle of perverted extraterrestrials. Now, who done messed with my daughter's ride, Snoop? Asked, his voice calm, but carrying an undeniable weight of authority. Lizzo's tears of rage still streamed down her face, pointing dramatically at the aliens. Daddy, they crushed my car, and they're all looking at me funny. Snoop's gaze shifted to the aliens. The leader, still projecting this lewd imagery, paused, its many eyes shifting from Lizzo to an imposing figure of Snoop. For the first time, a flicker of what might have been apprehension crossed the alien's features. You know, Snoop drawled, taking a long drag of a phantom joint. I've seen a lot of wild shit in my time, but y'all take the cosmic cake. He then turned to Lizzo, the parental glint in his eyes. Don't worry about it, Queenie. Daddy's here. And you know what we do when somebody messes with our kingdom, right? Lizzo's tears stopped. A slow, wicked grin spread across her face. We lay the smack down, Daddy. The aliens, seemingly emboldened by Snoop's laid-back demeanor, let out another series of honking, squonking noises and advanced. And this was a mistake. Lizzo, with a roar that could rival a lioness defending her cubs, sprang into action. She grabbed a conveniently placed tire iron, the tool of her trade, now repurposed for an intergalactic combat weapon, and swung it with surprising force, connecting squarely with one of the alien's spindly legs. It let out a high-pitched shriek and stumbled. Snoop, meanwhile, didn't even break a sweat. He pulled out a comically oversized golden megaphone and, with a flick of his wrist, activated it. Instead of a voice, it blasted a deafening wave of pure, unadulterated funk music. The aliens, who clearly expected laser beams and sonic disruptors, seemed utterly unprepared for Parliament in the Funkadelic. Their multiple eyes began to twitch uncontrollably. Their spindly limbs started to flail even with more abandon. The perverted imagery flickered and died. They tried to cover their ears, but their anatomy was clearly not designed for such. Lizzo, fueled with righteous anger and sheer absurdity of the situation, was on a roll. She used her considerable vocal talents to her advantage, letting out a series of powerful, bluesy wails that seemed to disorient the aliens even further. She was a one woman wrecking crew, punctuating her attacks with declarations like, "You ain't seen nothing till you seen Lizzo on a Tuesday night. And my daddy's funk game is strong for your little green asses." Snoop, still calmly holding his funk megaphone, would occasionally interject with a perfectly timed, "Yeah, that's it, Queen," or a low guttural woof that seemed to further agitate the extraterrestrials. The aliens, their perverted intentions replaced with a primal urge for escape, began to retreat, scrambling back into their grinning spacecraft. The funk music was clearly melting their alien minds, and Lizzo's powerhouse vocals were doing nothing to help. As quickly as they had arrived, the UFO hatch hissed shut. Blue lights pulsed erratically, and with the sound like a cosmic sneeze, it ascended, leaving behind a scorched patch of asphalt where Lizzo's Cadillac once stood. Silence descended, broken only by the distant hum of the passing truck. Lizzo, breathing heavily, lowered the tire iron, a triumphant, albeit slightly disheveled look on her face. Snoop, lowering his microphone, walked over to her, his smile widening. "Now that's how you handle a little intergalactic disrespect, my daughter." He gestured to the crushed car. "You don't worry about that caddy. We'll get you a new one, a bigger one. Maybe one that shoots lasers." Lizzo hugged her dad, her sequence jacket rustling. "Thanks, Daddy." "They're just so gross." Snoop chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound. "Well, yeah, some folks just don't understand the universal laws of cool. Come on, let's get some of that truck stop pie. I got a feeling this is going to be a story that's going to be told for a long, long time. And you, Queen, you are the star of the show." As they walked towards Snoop's Lincoln, leaving the bewilderment of Starlight Oasis truck stop behind, Lizzo couldn't help but smile. She had faced down perverted aliens. Her legendary pimp father had shown up to back her up. It was a night for the books, a testament to the fact that when it came to defending your territory and your ride, sometimes you needed a little bit of funk, a whole lot of soul, and the unwavering support of your king, and maybe, just maybe, a good old tire iron. Brian Mons, what's up, buddy? Stormy Light, there's my brother Five Rings. What's up, buddy? Julie, how are you? Brian Mons, you missed the Puckwudgie stories, bro. You missed them. There was two of them. Lizzo does put the boot. I was like, if Lizzo is the queen of the lot lizards, then the only person that could be Lizzo's dad would definitely be Snoop. Oh, you're packing? Oh, man. You got to go back and listen to them because they were like hot pink Puckwudgies. Randy, man, have a good night, buddy. I know someone would have. Smoop. Dude, I was just talking about that actually the other night, the other live stream. That I walked into Spencer's the other day, and instead of Elf on the Shelf, they have Snoop on the Stoop, and I was like, oh man, gotta get Snoop on the Stoop. How the and Oh my God, Aramic. Thank you, Brian Mons. No, Snoop on the stoop, not poop, 59th. You have one, Brian Mons? Dude, they have 3 different ones. I'm good, Neutrino. You didn't hear me say hi to you? I said hi to you earlier. Life and Times. What's up, brother? Haha, the green one. That's awesome. Poop on the stoop. Ew. Ew. All right. This event took place in October of 2005. It did not happen to me personally, but to 3 of my very close and trustworthy friends who still get frightened to even talk about it. I'm sharing this in hopes that someone may be able to help or explain what this was. All of us went to the bars that night. I left for home, and my cousin Nicole went to bed. The 3 remaining men, Carl, Reggie, and my cousin's boyfriend Brian, decided to smoke a cigarette on the balcony. They sat out there for a while, talking and smoking. At around 3 in the morning, they heard what sounded like a horse coming down the street. From where the balcony is, you can only see so far up the street. The noise seemed to be coming from up the hill in toward the north. All the guys joked around about what it could be. There is a horse riding facility in Griffin Park, so they assumed perhaps a horse had gotten loose. It sounded as if it was galloping and coming closer. Finally, it was close enough, and they knew as soon as it rounded the corner, they would see what it was. To this day, all 3 shake when they describe it to me. According to them, it was humanoid of sort. Its legs were very long as well as its feet, and it was taking huge strides as it made its way down the street. Its back was bent back, and its neck were very long and bent forward. They said no human could bend like this thing was. Its eyes were black, but it did have the whites as well. Its skin was transparent green, and it was wearing nothing but a what seemed to be white pants with black shoes. Carl said that it looked like a dead Ziggy Stardust because the hair was bright red. As soon as they saw it, Reggie let out a tiny gasp, and then the thing instinctively looked at them and squinted. They said it was so dark they couldn't imagine that a human could hear a tiny gasp and then immediately locate the sound. This thing did, however. It never stopped moving, and once it was past the driveway and viewpoint of the men, the clomping noise abruptly stopped. Reggie feared that perhaps it had scaled the apartment building and was now on the roof. I asked all 3 to draw me a picture in separate rooms. Their drawings were eerily similar. Carl thinks it was a ghost from the 70s that perhaps was killed in the park. Brian said he was sure that it was a creature of some sort. Reggie said that in the Philippines, they would have called it a specter. They said that they sensed it was hunting something and that it wanted no part of them. They all agreed that it was after something, but not them. They also said that they felt like they were not supposed to have seen it. I've been all over the internet trying to find something similar. For one, all of the men said that they weren't sure how this creature or ghost could have made such loud horse clomping noises. None of them could agree on its feet. Brian didn't remember what they looked like, nor did Reggie. Carl said they were similar to black boots. Is it possible that they were hooves? Carl is one of the largest and toughest men I know. 6'3", 300 pounds. He isn't the type to be easily frightened. I was surprised when I asked him, do you think if it wanted to, it could have hurt you? And he said that thing could have fucked all of us up. Jeff the Adirondacks. Oh, there's tons of sightings, Jamie, in the Adirondacks. Tons of them. I can literally, I have a folder of tons of Adirondack sightings. Neutrino. Did you see my video that I made on 3i Atlas? I actually, when I made it, I had tricked my AI to have to tell me what it thought it was. I have the greatest lost first-hand account. Shut up your face. Send me an email, please. Family's doing well, Janie. How are you? I don't think you heard me when I asked how you were. Oh, thank you, Edith. I think you're underestimating the human intelligence, Tracy. Not all humans are dumb. Just the ones that we see on TV that seem to represent humanity. I'm going to have steak for Thanksgiving. I'm coming to your house, Snowman Dave. I got to hear that. That's what I was saying, Kurt. I agree. Unfortunately. I've done that, Jamie. I've set up trail cams. There's videos of my trail cams set up in the Adirondacks. There's a lot more videos than there's 6,000 videos on my channel. I'm doing well, Tina Marie. How are you? Tigger's my cat Tigger is the dirtiest cat ever. He is gross. Gross. No, he's doing good. He's just, I don't know what's going on with him. He just wants to hump the little cat. Bad. Like, and this little cat, Stormy, is a boy. We found out Stormy is a boy. So we haven't gotten him fixed yet, but we've got to. We've got an appointment to get him fixed. Now, Apollo is fixed. So Tigger has never tried to hump on Apollo. Tigger's got balls the size of ping pong balls. He's just a monster of a cat. Stormy's got nuts now. Tigger wants to hump on Stormy. And I'm like, dude, what is going on with you? He's biting his neck. He's fucking, I'm like, stop it. You little dirty man. Tigger's dropping fucking mayonnaise all over poor Stormy's back. I'm like, will you stop? We got to get him fixed. Well, not Tigger. He's too old to get fixed. Plus, I'm not cutting his nuts off. He just walks around. Those things swing. They got their own fucking area code. But he's a gross, dirty little boy. He's showing something, James. He's showing his dominance, but the little one's got to go. No, he's not biting the balls. He's biting the back of the neck. What was weird is when he had one little brother. Tigger had one kitten that was related to him. One litter after him. And then his mom died. But Tigger would baby his brother like he loved him and would move him around. Like his mom would move the fuck was that cat's name? Fatty. His mom would move Fatty And Tigger would find Fatty and move him back, like carry him back like his mom did. It was so funny. He does need a woman. That's why I was hoping Stormy was a girl. I was like, cool, Tiggy can get laid, you know? I mean, he's getting laid, but he's doing nothing but air. He's all bam, bam, bam. He's such a scumbag. I love him. So I grew up in Vandercook Lake, Michigan, and I lived in a small trailer park about 2 miles from 127 highway, 2 miles of pretty heavy woods and swamps, but really nice trails. Anyway, a few friends and I would walk the trails to the sand pits by the highway. We were 10 to 11 years of age at the time anyway. An argument happened and the youngest kid pretty much got told to go home. He stomped off down the trail toward the trailer park away from the highway. A few minutes later, he came screaming back to us, running like a bat out of hell. A few minutes later, but he said that there was a monster on the trail and it was following him. We looked down the trail and there was something standing about 50 yards away from us, just staring at us. The best thing I can describe this as is it looked like a spindly toy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like a rat standing on its hind legs, but it had what looked like a blue tarp wrapped around it like a hood. It also seemed to be carrying some sort of bag. Its face is what I remember the best because it was so stoic looking, long like a dog's snout, light brown colored with fuzz or thin fur, intelligent but not malicious looking, still terrifying. I don't know, I'm 38 now and still remember the image vividly. Also, growing up till I was 16, I saw lights and heard weird sounds coming from the woods all the time. Dude saw Splinter. He saw Splinter. Tracy, I have no social life. Yeah, my social life is working on the channel, going to the grocery store, working on the channel, going to Starbucks. What is that noise? I thought there was water spilling. Dude, I literally heard my daughter running the bathtub. It's right there. And then I heard like water. It sounded like the tub overflowed. Fucking scared me. It literally, I'm like, is my house gonna freaking flood? Just watch Pumpkinhead. Dude, the original one. Who needs my email? I'll put my email in right now. Tig is getting jiggy. I don't care if he goes that way, if he rolls that way, I don't care. Whatever. Let him roll that way. Who am I? Who am I to tell him any different? My email is right. Oh, 59th beat me. How was your trip to where a man disappeared? Tom Mezek, pretty good. The video was up this week, my friend. SDL, I put it up on Monday. The original one's the best one. Oh, there we go. The original Pumpkinhead is the best one. Youngest son just decided to become my daughter. I guess, I don't know. It's everybody's decision. Who am I to say anything different? If Tigger wants to blast mayonnaise all over the boy kitty, go ahead, buddy. I don't care. As long as he's not blasting fucking mayonnaise on me, I'm fine with it. You start doing that to me, Tigger, and we're going to have a little issue. Okay? You little scumbag. No, animals do it. Wake up, I'm sleeping. Tigger's fucking like blasting mayonnaise on me. I'm like, what are you doing? Each to their own. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I was raised in a family, like my dad is really like, my dad's my dad. You know my dad. He told my neighbor to, after he was sick, my neighbor's like, I prayed for your dad. Told my dad. My dad said, fuck him. So like, I was raised like, I don't know. My dad's just really 1950s, 1960s. But my aunt, his sister, is been a lesbian since like I was born, you know? So like I don't care about anything. Like it's not my business, you know what I mean? Like I think if people minded their own, that's the way I look at it. Did I get my own email wrong? No, I didn't. I didn't get it wrong. Oh, I did get it wrong. I didn't put the @ sign in. Oh, shit. That's the way you need to be, PJ or PG. It's just, who cares what anybody else thinks in this fucking world? Hi, Belle. I have 7. I'm going to stock up once a year. Jesus. Love you, night. Love you, night, baby. I'll see you in the morning, Bubba. Be like Tig. Oh, no. Blasting mayonnaise all over the kitty. I don't want to do that to the poor kitty. Craigers, what's up, buddy? Orion. Orion's always eating something fucking weird. Always. He's making hot dogs with peanut butter and relish. Dude, that is gross. You're going to fucking get sick and probably shit your pants later. Apollo's Tigger wants nothing to do with Apollo. Like, he doesn't want to hump on Apollo because Apollo doesn't have nuts. So that's why I'm thinking if we got a girl cat, Tigger wouldn't want to hump it. Tigger is gross. Tigger just walks around stinking, barely cleaning himself. There are times that I look at Tigger. I said, Belle, look at this really quick. Tigger will be walking down the hallway, just walking down the hallway towards us. And I'm like, doesn't he look like a homeless old man? And he really does. He looks like Stargazer. How are you? Wow, long time. Long time. How are you, Stargazer? Old enough to know better. But he does. He looks like a homeless old man. He's sleeping on my bed right now. Like, just like, but he's so cute. I love him. He's my best friend. I'm going to watch the movie Falling Down. Falling Down is a good choice. Good choice, Orion. He's a year older than when I got sober. So 11. Falling Down is a great movie. Was that Michael Keaton? It's Kurt Douglas. Kurt Douglas? Yeah, Kurt Douglas. Kurt Douglas is badass in that movie. Didn't he? Michael Douglas. Is it Mike? Kurt's the dad, right? Yeah. He just wanted a coffee. Didn't he just want like a coffee or some shit? My grandpa went to school with Kurt Douglas. Kurt Douglas was originally from Amsterdam, New York. And his name was not Kurt Douglas at first. The movie Sisu? No, I have not, Aramik. Movie Sisu. I'll have to look that up. I think I shared this one. I'm not sure. I don't know. This one seems familiar, but I'm not sure. Here we go. So I've never believed in the supernatural until I was 18 and me and my friends played with the Ouija board. Story for another time. Anyway, after ensuing craziness from that escapade, I am a full believer. Not Bieber, thank God. On the actual sighting, I live in a very rural part of Mississippi. Like, I believe my town has something like 247 people in it. Everybody knows everybody. Weird things have happened before, like animals being slaughtered, going missing, that sort of stuff. Naturally, we chalk it up to coyote and other critters. I'm an avid hunter, so I was heading out into the woods with my bow, fully decked out in Matthew's Creed. I got up a little earlier than usual, so it was still pretty dark. I've never minded the woods before. So all I planned on doing was relaxing in my stand for a while, as I didn't feel like stalking today. It's not too far away from daylight, so the birds and other wildlife are starting to make their morning calls, usually pretty peaceful, right? I swear to God, in the span of a second, everything in that patch of wood shut up at the exact same time. Dead silence. Didn't even try to be subtle. That alone scared the shit out of me. So naturally, my scared, frozen self just sat there and listened to everything. My first thought was, oh shit, something's out here with me, which freaked me out even more. Then I start to think maybe it's just a bear or bobcat, which I still was terrified to meet up with, but at least it gave me a logical answer. I figured I could hear a bear coming, but I knew big cats are renowned for stalking people without their knowing, which scared the daylights out of me. I decided to keep moving toward my stand, post up, and just point my bow down the tree. After what seemed like forever, I frickin' made it. Shuffled up the stand, pulled out the knife just in case, and listened. Dawn was definitely breaking now, which made me feel a little better. Still no sounds of wildlife, which was getting more and more eerie. Now, my stand is perched on the side of a creek. The creek was not very deep, like maybe to the top of your ankle. About the only sound I could hear was the slight noise of the running water. Then I hear something to my right, and it is running fast. I instantly raise my bow and wait, shit in my pants. It's getting louder and louder, closer as well. I almost screamed when I saw this bastard. It literally looked like something from the Dog Soldiers, only more muscular. This thing busted through the brush, ran down the slope and through the creek, then disappeared on the other side. I have seen some shit, let me tell you, but I was shaking like a newborn baby. I didn't ease off my drawstring for like 10 minutes, which is a long time to hold a bow, FYI. I mean, this thing was huge. 6'5", 7'5", 250 of no. And I've seen bear and the likes before. They don't run like that. Anyway, after that, the sun really started to show. The birds started chirping. I had calmed it myself down, so I got the hell out of there in a hurry. Well, I was terrified at the time. It's definitely going to be the coolest memory to look back on. I just got to move my stand and hunt elsewhere now. Escape from New York, 59. I'll check it out. Thank you. Thank you. Shut up your face. Good old Snake to the rescue. They should do a new one, but like have Kurt Russell old, like now how he is, and like name it like Escape from New York 2, the geriatric edition. Have him in a wheelchair. That'd be pretty fucking awesome. Or do like Big Trouble in Little China. Big Trouble in Little China right now. Oh shit. There, Wolf. Have a good night, my friend. Thank you for hanging out. Dude, I love that movie, Big Trouble in Little China. Oh shit, man. You could never like you really could never make those movies again with the actors that we have nowadays. Like if you really think about it, there are some decent actors nowadays, but like from back in the day, shit. I mean, maybe Matthew McConaughey could play something decent, but he's about the only decent actor we have. I mean, Johnny Depp is all right, but he's kind of let himself go. You know, he's all chubby and fucking lay off the rum, buddy. This fucking hair right here is driving me insane. Now it looks dumb. There we go. That's better. What's up, Steph? How are you? Matthew McConaughey's in his 60s. It is, Joy. It is. Dang. But still, like, there's 62-year-olds that take care of themselves. Johnny Depp just looks like he's been through the fucking ringer. Yes, definitely the winter coat is growing. Don't let your liver quiver. Oh shit. Me and 4 of my friends were in the Russian countryside this winter. We stayed at one of my friend's houses in mid-December to the beginning of January, about 20 kilometers east of Moscow. On the night before New Year's, we had a terrifying encounter with something horrible. It was 1 a.m., and we had stayed at the house all day, ate pizza, watched movies, and played Mortal Kombat. We had also been in the sauna and had all been in good spirits, as later that day it would be New Year's. We were outside my friend's house, which overlooks a very small valley, about 10 meters in depth and 60 meters in length, and we were blowing up some firecrackers we had prepared. His house is quite isolated, with the nearest neighbors about 100 meters away. We blew them up one by one by throwing them into the valley that was next to the house. As we were doing this, I was the first to notice a black silhouette with a glowing object in the distance moving towards us extremely fast. I immediately notified everyone with me and told them to get inside the house's courtyard. My friends saw the figures. We were confused as to who or what it may be and what they were doing, but we weren't worried as the figure was a very long way away. And we had at least 2 minutes before it came close enough to the property to see our faces or do anything. I looked back at the figure and immediately noticed that its eyes had a faint glow, nothing crazy or bright, just faint, yellow goldish glow, similar to that of a cat's eyes reflecting light in the darkness. I also noticed that the figure had traveled a very long distance in 5 seconds. I took to turn around and inform the friends. This was especially worrying as it was walking, not running. I immediately knew that it was time to leave. I ran toward the gate to the house and yelled for my friends to follow me, which, after witnessing what I had witnessed, for one of them. One of our friends looked frozen in fear, his eyes wide open, his mouth slightly open as well, and he was not blinking. The entire time he was looking at the figure. I ran and pushed him in order to get him to move, which made him snap out of it, some sort of light trance, as he was slightly lost. But by this point, the figure is closer, and nearly at the same time, all of us were filled with a visceral fear of dread. Not fear, more like whatever is happening right now is very, very wrong. We later realized that this is probably emanated from this whatever it was. As we were entering the garden and ducking behind the fence, we noticed that it was moving a minimum of 5 times as fast as a regular person would be running, while making absolutely no noise. Even though it was walking, we hid behind the fence for ages and managed to get a picture of him from underneath the fence. It walked into the nearby woods, leaving absolutely no footprints and making no noise at all. We have no clue what this was, but we are 100% that whatever it was not a human. What did take place in that picture was almost like a blur, like it was moving too fast to be caught. I am the villain. You are the villain, Aramek. You are the villain. Aramek, this one is for you. This Lizzo lot lizard story is for Aramek. This is the second lot lizard story of the night, guys, and here we go. Y'all ready for this? The air at the Big Rig and Burger Stop smelled, as always, of diesel fumes, cheap coffee, and the faint, enduring aroma of betrayal. It was just after 2 a.m., the witching hour for long-haul drivers, and the lot was ruled by one figure, Lizzo, the undisputed queen of the lot lizard truck stop prostitutes. Lizzo was majestic. She stood 6 feet tall in her custom rhinestone boots. Her silver tracksuit shimmered under the sickly yellow glow of the sodium. Her nails, impeccable talons of neon fuchsia, and her platinum weave defied physics. She was currently lecturing a profoundly sleepy trucker named Gary about the structural integrity of his fifth wheel hitch when the temperature dropped 30 degrees in an instant. Gary, darling, she sighed, adjusting her wireless microphone headset. If you don't secure that locked jaw, you're going to lose your load. And honestly, I only deal with secure loads. Then a pair of eyes the size of dinner plates and glowing of furious, unsettling redness appeared over the roof of Gary's cab. Oh, for heaven's sake, Lizzo said, unrolling her eyes. It's the Mothman again. The creature, a massive silhouette of muscle and ragged wings that smelled alarmingly like a damp basement carpet and old mothballs, swooped down. This wasn't the first time the West Virginia cryptid had made its appearance, but usually it just left unsettling gifts like dead muskrats or a single tarnished aluminum earring. This time was different. Lizzo, the creature rasped, its voice a sound of rusting gears grinding together. Come be my queen, rule the caverns with me. Lizzo shrieked, but not in fear, in indignation. Touch the weave and die. Mothman, blinded with love and Lizzo's dazzling aura, ignored the warning. He snatched her up, not gently, tucking her under one powerful, segmented arm. Lizzo, high-pitched professional screams quickly turned into frustration. Put me down, you oversized insect. I have a 3 a.m. booking with a gentleman transporting high-value ceramics. This is a breach of contract. The Mothman was gone, soaring over the interstate, leaving Gary bewildered and Earl, Lizzo's sweet, loyal, and anxious boy toy, sputtering by the fuel pumps. Earl, the Wheel Johnson, was a man built like a sack of mashed potatoes, but his heart was pure gold, and his Kenworth W900, a behemoth, was his lifeblood. When he saw his queen abducted by a creature that looked like a bad taxidermy project, his potato heart swelled with resolve. Nobody takes my Lizzo, Earl roared, scrambling into the cab of his gleaming 20-ton rescue vehicle. He slammed it into gear and drove, the massive engine screaming a challenge across the desolate landscape. Mothman's lair was everything the truck stop wasn't. Quiet, damp, and utterly lacking in convenient vending options. It was a cavern carved deep into the hillside, littered with shiny stolen trinkets, old hubcaps, and damp piles of what Lizzo quickly identified as discarded dryer lint. She was deposited into a makeshift throne, a stack of worn-out, retreaded tires, and Mothman knelt, presenting a piece of tarnished copper wire bent into a crude circle. My goddess, Mothman said, his huge red eyes shimmering with devotion. I have followed your social media, your confidence, your impeccable sense of self-worth. It speaks to my primal darkness in my soul. Be my bride. Lizzo slapped the copper ring out of his hand. Honey, no. First, I don't do caves. The humidity is terrible for my track record of lasting beauty. Second, you look like you haven't exfoliated since the Reagan administration. Third, this ring is trash. Mothman recoiled, wounded. But I love you. I will give you the shiny garbage I find on the highway mediums. Shit. Lizzo was preparing a cutting retort about his abysmal taste in jewelry when the ground began to shake. A distant, earth-shattering bellow echoed to the cave system, followed by an unmistakable aggressive rumble of a 15-liter diesel engine. That's my Lizzo, you big bug! Earl's voice, amplified by the natural acoustics of the cave entrance, sounded like a declaration of war. The Mothman frowned, his antennae twitching with irritation. Is that short, greasy one the one who keeps trying to pay you with expired coupons to Cracker Barrel? That short, greasy one is the man. Wait, that short, greasy one is my man, Lizzo said, her voice turning dangerous. And he's coming to rescue me. Earl, bless his heart, had driven the behemoth right up to the mouth of the cave. He emerged from the cab, armed not with a shotgun, but with a massive, brightly colored lug wrench and determined, albeit terrified, expression. Let her go, Mothman, Earl yelled, charging into the low-lit chamber. Mothman merely chuckled, a dry, scuttling sound. He was impressed by the man's nerve, but not his form. The rescue attempt lasted exactly 6 seconds. Earl swung the wrench. Mothman stepped aside, catching Earl midair. The creature then proceeded to demonstrate why mythological creatures generally beat logistic personnel in hand-to-hand combat. Earl was a rag doll against the stalagmite. Then slammed into the tire throne. He landed near Lizzo's feet, a whimpering, wet noodle of a man, eyes flickering weakly. Now, Mothman hissed, dusting off his segmented wing. Where were we, my love? Shall we consummate this unholy union? Lizzo looked down at Earl, whose lip was split and who was groaning pitifully. Then she looked up at the creature who had just ruined her perfectly good evening and far worse, assaulted her property. Oh no, baby, Lizzo said, rising from her tire throne. The challenge in her demeanor was seismic. Her shimmering silver tracksuit was no longer fashion. It was armor. You did not just beat up my boyfriend and scratch my custom boots. Mothman laughed, confident in his victory. And what are you going to do about it, little human? Lizzo didn't answer with words. She answered with actions. Lizzo had been running the lot for 15 years. She had dealt with debt collectors, meth heads, rogue CB radio enthusiasts, and one particularly aggressive flock of Canadian geese. Mothman was, frankly, amateur hour. She reached into her impossibly small beaded purse and pulled out a full unopened bottle of artisanal sparkling water. She insisted on staying hydrated. In one fluid motion, she smashed the bottom of the bottle against the tire throne, creating a jagged, wicked glass shiv. Survival skill number 1, baby, she announced, her eyes flashing redder than the Mothman's. Always weaponize your hydration. Mothman lunged, but Lizzo was faster. The beast riled on brute force and fear. Lizzo relied on precision and fury. She sidestepped his sweep and drove the broken bottleneck straight into the soft, unarmored area where his wing met his shoulder joint. Mothman's shriek was magnificent, a high-pitched whine mixed with the sound of thousand failing brakes. He flapped wildly, spraying Lizzo with foul-smelling gray dust. You're filthy, Lizzo screamed, wiping the dust off her face. And you owe me a dry cleaning bill. She followed up the attack using the empty water bottle as a club, slamming it against the creature's massive head. Lizzo was fueled by pure lot lizard rage. She rained down blows, demanding to know where her ceramic client was, asking why his hive smells like bad Parmesan cheese, and inquiring about Mothman dental plan. Mothman, utterly unaccustomed to being hit back, much less by a woman in high heels, stumbled backward, crashing into the stalagmites. His terrifying mystique evaporated under the sheer power of Lizzo's strength. Finally, in a desperate move, he clawed his way toward the small fissure in the cave roof and shot out of sight, leaving a pathetic trail of moth scales and bitter sulfur. Silence descended, broken only by Earl's faint groan. Ugh. Lizzo smoothed her tracksuit, adjusted her hair, and then knelt beside her bruised sweetheart. Earl, darling, are you functional? My rib, Earl whispered, clutching his side. I think I'm cracked, Lizzo. I failed the mission. Lizzo kissed his forehead. Nonsense. The mission was successful. Now, let's get you back to the doctor. Can you drive the rig? Earl tried to sit up and immediately slumped back down, shaking his head. Lizzo sighed, looking at the massive, intricate dashboard of the Kenworth. Fine. Never let it be said that the Lizard Queen does not know how to operate heavy machinery. Carefully, Lizzo dragged Earl out of the cave. She hoisted her boy toy into the large passenger seat of the behemoth and then, with a confident leap, climbed into the driver's seat. The truck stop queen had been driving trucks since she was tall enough to reach the gas pedal. Even if she rarely mentioned it, she put the rig into gear, double clutched like a seasoned pro, and performed a highly illegal, breathtaking 3-point turn in the damp, narrow cave approach. As the Kenworth roared back down toward civilization, Lizzo expertly navigated the winding service roads, her fuchsia talons steady on the massive steering wheel. Lizzo, Earl mumbled, half conscious, his eyes wide with admiration. Yeah, honey, you just beat up a mythological cryptid. Lizzo didn't take her eyes off the road. That overgrown fruit fly tried to mess up my schedule, Earl, and he insulted my baby. Nobody puts that nonsense on the queen of the lot. She accelerated onto the freeway, leaving the stink of moth dust and the monster's love far behind them, determined to make it back to the big rig and burger stop just in time for the breakfast rush. Business, after all, was business, and now she had a new service to offer her clients: high-grade, premium cryptid deterrence for a phenomenal fee, of course. Thank you, SDL. What's up, Sumner? Thank you, Mindy. What's up, 555? Honestly, Gavin, I do not know. I do not know, my friend. For stuffed artichokes. Thank you, Neutrino. Yeah, then you pull them like that and get the soft tissue off of them. Actually, Stephanie, Lizzo has met Large Marge before. Lizzo has met Large Marge before. That was probably like a year ago. Literally like a year ago. Dude, that's terrible. That is terrible, Aramic. Oh, the Pigman of Vermont. I've heard mention of it, Amy. I've heard mention of it. On a night just like this. Dude, I don't care. Large Marge scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Of course, Pee Wee Herman scared me as well because, he wanted to do bad things to all people, especially when he was pulling his plug at the movie theater. I don't think here, like, there is no centralized area for these creatures. Like, Goatman is in Kentucky. Like, they're everywhere, Like, they don't just stay in one place. And Goatman's different though. Goatman is a different cryptid, all in like entirely different. I myself don't think that the Goatman is a goat man. Like I think it's a demon that is walking the earth. And many of them, you know what I mean? Like I've done them. I've got plenty of city videos too, Neutrino, like St. Louis and other cities, New York and stuff like that. Oh my God, Archie Bunker. Oh shit, you meathead. Yeah, exactly, Aramek. Oh. My dad is Archie. I agree with you, Key West. My dad's a skinny Archie Bunker with hair still. Oh shit! Whip-de-doo, whip-de-doo. You want to know what's funny? Is this is crazy? Um, I grew up loving music. Like I really wanted to be a radio DJ. It's just what I wanted to do when I was a kid. My cousin was a DJ. He went to college, did the college radio circuit, and then he worked for our local radio station up here, Y96 FM and Fly 92. And I used to go with him to the radio station and learn how to do all the shit. So growing up, I had this massive collection of vinyl, cassettes, CDs, but I had 8 tracks. And I have probably one of the coolest 8-track collections ever. Like I have Zeppelin 4, a bunch of Sly and the Family Stone. But one of the coolest 8 tracks I have is an All in the Family 8-track where you put it into the 8-track player and you're listening to 4 of the All in the Family shows. It is so cool. Well, they say St. Louis is a portal city because of the arches, but I don't think that has anything to do with the arches. It's kind of like that's like saying a portal is man-made. You know what I mean? So, but there's something there with the Mississippi River or something, right? Well, the arches wouldn't have anything to do with it, because how would you have, like, that'd be like saying McDonald's would be a portal, you know? Portals are like not naturally occurring, they're supernaturally occurring. They can't be man-made, so yeah, I still have the 8 tracks to this day. Oh, shit. 8 tracks were these, like, big square things. They were bigger than this. They were bigger than this, like, I don't know, I don't have anything in here. And they look like a cassette. They had, like, the tape of a cassette, but fatter, and you put them in like this, and they played. And they only had 4 sides. They had 4 sides, like 4 tracks. And I think that's why they called them 8 tracks, is because there was usually two recordings on each track or something like that. They're cool shit though. What's up, Stacy Lockett? How are you, dear? Well, then you'd have books, Colleen. If people didn't have the internet, they'd have books. And people would spend a shit ton of money. Jarrett's right there with me. Wait, there was a 4-track? I had a reel to reel when I was younger. I'm glad you're doing well, Stacy. 4-track. I never heard of a 4-track. No kidding. That's interesting. Linda Ronstadt. Damn. According to AI, because when I did the video on AI, I think it may be 3 different things. Like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much because there's too many bullshit like videos talking about. There's too many bullshit videos talking about 3-Eye Atlas. So it's kind of like you don't have, like, I only listen to Avi Loeb, and like I subscribed to his webpage. He has a webpage that you can read his detailed findings and stuff. And what he shares on the webpage, it not in video form, like in written form, so you have to read it, is so much different than what people are making up. It is changing shape. It's changed shape. It still does. I guess it shot out some radio frequencies. I would honestly have to say it quite possibly could be a UFO. Yeah, not me neither. Truth Quest, how are you? There you are. Oh wow, haven't seen you in a while. It's cool, but like with all of the bullshit that people are making up, like people are literally making stories up about it for views and shit like that. What's up, Oracle? How are you? I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, the government is definitely saying nothing to see here. I don't know how I felt about that one, John. That was pretty fucking scary, actually. I did not like that one. Truth Quest, is that happening on all the channels that you listen to? Not yet, SDL. Not yet. I will shortly. I mean, if the thing crashes into Earth, it definitely would be the end of times, but it's past Earth now. Here's the thing, it's past Earth. So if it turns around and comes back, that's what we really need to think about. It's past Earth. So if it literally turns around and comes back, then we're fucked. You know, we're definitely screwed. So, I mean, right now there's nothing to worry about. It's like, but I mean, if Avi Loeb or any kind of scientist says, yeah, it just turned around, now we're definitely screwed. I've heard of one DL. I was camping in Mississippi with a friend, let's call Jack. We both only had been a handful of times. So I can say we are not the best campers. It was about 11:30 p.m. and we were in our tent about to go to sleep when I heard rustling. We obviously didn't think much of it because we're in the woods with animals. Not too long goes past and we hear some more rustling and this blood-curdling scream. Jack positive that it was a bobcat. Again, we weren't worried, but I will admit I was a little afraid. We both fell asleep, but we were awoken by the sound of scratching and another scream, this time much closer. The scratching went on for 10 minutes while getting closer. We were both much more scared than before. Jack wanted to see what it was, and sometimes he acts impulsively. Before I could stop him, he quietly unzipped the tent just enough to where he could see out. He uncovered his mouth and moved away for me to see. There was a very dark, but it was very dark, but what I saw was a creature at least 8 feet in height with pale, very wrinkly skin, balloon-shaped head, and eyes that were so black they looked like holes. It had claws that it ran down trees, causing the scratching sound. Its mouth was very thin and long. It never came closer than about 10 feet from us. It just walked and scratched until it made one last scream and turned into the trees. We left first thing in the morning. It was one of the scariest things I had ever experienced, and I probably will never go camping again. All right, here we go. Do you guys So last week definitely a crawler. Definitely a crawler. Last week I did the grandma and grandpa Appalachia experiences. You guys remember those? Yes, Lizzo has met a centaur. and had no idea that they cut hair. Aramic. So really quick, do you guys remember the grandparents sharing their experiences in the Appalachia with their grandkids? No, yes, no. Okay, so I have 1 and 2 still. So I don't know if I should share them to get you guys familiar with it, or should we just start with 3 and 4? Because I have 3 and 4, but I have 1 and 2 as well. I'll just share them. I'll share them all. I'm talking about real experiences that get passed down from one generation to the next. I know a few of them. A little about me. My family's from West Virginia. I was born in Germany because my dad had moved there. So I grew up split between Germany and West Virginia, spending time with my grandparents and the rest of the family, kind of like a 50-50 mix. That's why I am pretty familiar with the Appalachian stories and those from the woods. So, my grandfather always had certain respect for the darkness. One night, I was trying to bring in their old dog Teddy inside. It was probably around 7 p.m., just when it was starting to get dark, a normal late summer evening. But he didn't want me going outside then. He'd always said we don't leave the house alone, and once it gets dark, we don't leave at all. I used to think he was just said that because there were animals out there or something. Later, I asked him why we couldn't go outside, but my grandmother said, we don't talk about that or it brings bad luck. My grandpa just said there are folks around here who went out and never came back. But when I asked why, he changed the subject. It wasn't until I got older and started helping with hunting and woodcutting, and the woods became more of a part of my everyday life, that he started opening up a little more and more. He told me the danger wasn't the woods themselves, but the things, he'd always call them the things, that watch you and want you to stay. Most of them won't harm you, but they will make sure you get lost. Back then, I thought that's hard to believe. Well, mostly hard to believe, and I still do, to some extent. But I figured if an 80-year-old man is saying this stuff, it can't be made up. A few months later, I ask again, since he's always shut me down before. And he said, boy, sometimes it's better not knowing everything, but you want to know, don't you? And that's when he started telling me a few of his stories. He mentioned that there was a family in the 20s that had immigrated from Belgium, and they didn't follow the rules. He said they'd go out at night unprotected, just by themselves, and some of them didn't come back. He told me a bunch of those stories about people who went into the woods and never returned. He also said you should never whistle in the woods. If you do, everything goes quiet, no animal sounds, nothing. And that happens, you get yourself a problem. You'll feel like you're getting watched, getting the chills, and you'll start thinking there is something behind every tree. He said when you whistle, you wake up the things in the woods that should have stayed asleep. And if they hear it, they'll wait for you. Another rule he had was no music, no playing music or listening to it while you're working or hunting. Not because of the animals or anything, but the forest has its own rules. Break those rules and you won't make it home. He said too much artificial noise, whether it's whistling, music, chainsaws, or motors, can invite these things to come after you. And they get mad. They will stalk you, and the noise just makes them angrier. Another experience, there's this old abandoned cabin that people avoid. The cabins are empty, but something waits there. If you walk by, you will start hearing things. Sometimes a footstep, sometimes a whisper, but you don't see nothing. He said that's when you walk into a trap. That's when you walked into a trap, because the woods want something from you. I'm not entirely sure what to make of these things. Ironically, He's always says Hollywood monsters like Bigfoot are made up nonsense, but his own experiences, he stands by them. The reason I believe them, at least a little, is because sometimes you'll find footprints in the backyard, especially when you're wood cutting, and wooden symbols in the woods. I've only seen them once, and I never again, like Grandpa set them up or something. But I gotta admit, I do have a mix of respect and fear, even if I'm not fully convinced. In Germany, they would just laugh at stories like this. Part 2 of these. So my grandma, she was quarter native, but she knew so many stories from the natives. You'd almost think she was more than that. It was like one of those things she'd tell over and over when you sat in the kitchen with her. She'd make you some tea, like she didn't want to talk about it. Somehow she'd just start. Once she told me about this old experience that her grandmother had passed down to her. It was about a woman who lived out in the mountains of West Virginia, far from the settlements. Now, the legend says she was a woman of the woods, like they called her, and she could speak to animals. They said that she was highly respected by the Native Americans. But one day, she disappeared. Folks from the villages said she went off with the wolves into the mountains to never come back. One night, my grandparents said you could hear the wolves. You could hear the wolves howling when the full moon was at its highest. But it wasn't just a regular howling, it was the singing, like the wolves were talking to the woman who never left fully. And from that night on, so she said, strange things started happening. Nobody would go in the woods at dark because that woman roamed with the wolves, and sometimes she'd take the souls of the wanderers. But she'd also help wanderers. Grandma said the wolves aren't real wolves, but some kind of guardians of the woods, making sure the contract between man and nature is not broken. And whoever broke that contract, loud sounds like whistling and music and chainsaws, well, they didn't fall victim to the forest wanderer, whatever that was. Then she'd always say, boy, you are lucky that you're over here in Germany. The woods here, they're peaceful, but in the Appalachians, they'll change a man. This story, he says, folks from West Virginia, Grandpa would always say, if you're in the fog and you hear the hooves, that means the riders see you. And if they see you, well, you're going to be taken by them. Now, my grandma, she said she had a way of looking at you when she talked about certain things. Like she knew you knew something, but she never said much. Once I talked to her about braided symbols I had seen only one time in the woods, and she started to tell me, but not too much. It was one of those things she'd only tell you just enough. Once she told me about the time when she was younger, walking in the woods with her mother. One afternoon, just sat before they went deeper into the forest than they ever had and found a sign. It was a tree with a kind of braided pattern carved into the bark. Grandma said it looked like a symbol for the way home, but she knew it was not a good sign. Everyone who sees that symbol, she says, they ain't alone. And anyone who wonders about it, they'll find that symbol on them one day. I asked her what that meant, and she looked at me long before saying, it's a symbol of the guardians. If you find it, you know the woods have claimed you. But after that, you ain't got no claim on them. Later, I learned that the guardians weren't regular people or animals, but something else, maybe ghosts, or maybe it was just nature itself testing us to see how far we would go. Don't find it. My grandpa says these things are ghosts or paints. All right, here's the newer ones. These old stories from my grandma and grandpa about what lives up in the West Virginia mountains. So one time I was over at my uncle's place, and he let slip something about snowman. I was like, Uncle, what the hell's a snowman? He just grunted and said didn't feel like getting into it now. Next thing I know, Grandpa comes stumping through the door, pours himself a cup of blacker than midnight coffee, eases down into a chair like his back's killing him, and looks at me and says, "Well, boy, you want to know about the quiet hunters really are? Sit and listen close. My granddad taught me this before he passed in 2023. He said the quiet hunters aren't ghosts of dead folk, and they sure ain't demons crawled up out of hell. They was here long before the first Shawnee or Cherokee ever set foot in these mountains, 10,000 years ago or maybe longer. Old timers called them the first watchers, or just the ones who never speak. They belong to the land itself, some as the rock on the ice. Folks say they are what's left when winter gets so much and cold the line between living and dead thins out like wet paper. First time a bunch of outsiders really noticed them was during the war between the states. Deserting soldiers and runaways hid out way up Dolly Sods, Roaring Plains, Cannon Heights, all them places. They built campfires because they didn't freeze solid otherwise, and that's what got them took. The quiet hunters can't stand fire, and they hate loud human voices in the winter. Army reports don't say nothing about it. Officers just wrote off as a hillbilly superstition. But the folks who lived here knew better. Whole squads of men flat disappeared in the winter of 62, 63. No bodies, no blood. Not even tracks. Not even tracks. Mountain people say the quiet hunters carried them off, not out of meanness, but because the boys broke the old bargain, disturbing the silence. Grandpa said his granddad seen one himself, just a second right at the edge of the blizzard. Thing was tall as two men standing on each other's shoulders wide as ox yoke, but where the face ought to be, there was nothing but black empty, and the snow never sank under its feet like it didn't weigh a damn thing. Worst part, though, the breath. When one of them's close, the cold quits biting. Your breath don't freeze no more. It hangs there in a little white cloud right in front of your face. Then it starts drifting snow toward the hunter, like it's showing him the way straight to you. That's why the old folks boarded up windows with quilts in the winter and breathe real shallow if they had to step outside after dark. And if someone coughed too loud or snored like a sawmill, well, come on. Grandpa got real quiet at the end and said, they don't come every year, but when the first snow hits October and the north wind blows in dead empty, no birds, no deer, nothing, then I know where they're walking. And I don't crack a window, not even a hair, cause they are patient. Lord, they are patient. Hey, y'all. Here comes part 4 of the stories my grandma and grandpa used to tell me about creepy things that lurk in the woods and mountains of West Virginia and the Appalachia. Now, in part 2, I mentioned the woman of the woods that my grandma talked about. She got these stories from her own grandma, and they've been passed down for generations. I've told you before that the woman in the woods, according to West Virginia stories, were once just respected women who had knowledge of medicine as well, magic. But one day they just disappeared, and they say she became sort of a supernatural spirit of the woods, according to Grandma. They said she lived in the deep woods in simple huts. These huts weren't much. just rotten dead wood covered in mud, dirt to seal them up. And inside there was nothing, no kitchen, no bed, just a throne made out of stones, moss, and wood sitting in the middle of the hut. Grandma knew all of this because, according to her grandma, some of these huts had actually been found. The last one was supposedly discovered in the 30s. Now, nobody was followed to enter the house. Last one, supposedly, nobody followed the house. Women of the woods still lived there. She moved around a lot. The last one found was in the 30s. Grandma said that when they did, that was when things started to get real strange. She said, woman now had guardians, these protectors of the woods. I have told you about the guardians before. They had been around for a long time. Now they are looking after the women of the woods too. They mark their territories with braided symbols, and anyone who saw them couldn't go into those areas. That's where the woman is supposedly to live, and the people say she's been seen in the woods even today. Now, what exactly are these guardians? I'm not sure. I often wonder if they even exist at all, or if maybe the woman herself is just pretending to be them. Sadly, I never got a chance to ask Grandma about that. As the woman of the woods herself, she said she looks like an old, tiny woman with black hair and white hair. Sometimes she wears a black and white dress. What is really strange, what really strange, what really is strange, this is really hard to read. What really is strange, because they don't put the right punctuation. She say has huge mouth and can open the jaw wide enough to scream in a way that sounds like nothing you have ever heard. If you find yourself in that situation, well, let's just say it's not going to be a fun time. They say she still appears to hikers sometimes. Some folk say she helps them find their way, taking them by the hand and leading them through the woods. Others say she leads them into confusion, making them get lost. Grandma told me that she was this way of putting people into some sort of trance, like they black out, and when they come to, it's dark and they are right back to where they started. They look around to find footprints, human tracks, and all around them, and their clothes all dirty, like they've been walking in the woods for days. Sometimes their backpacks and shoes are even gone. Now, I don't know about it all, but something tells me there's a whole lot more to those woods than most people understand. Some things you don't question too hard, or they might just come looking for you. They say they can hear her whisper at night. Sometimes she even knows your name. And according to my grandma, when it happens, well, got a little problem on your hands. When does that, it's like can drive you mad, or sometimes can help you out. Grandma always said she never hurt no one, though. She would never do that. But there were stories about how if you talk to her, she might answer a question nobody can explain. It's all a mystery around her, and there are a lot of myths and tales. I also know that the stories about the woman of the woods are pretty common all throughout the Appalachian region. Damn it, I was fucking, punctuate. I've heard some strange stuff. There's Sonny. How are you? Peanut, how are you? Like, they are cool. I just wish they wrote them with. I think they're using top text because of how they look, or like how they read. Like, this happened to me and my friend a few times at his farm a couple years ago. I am not 100% sure that this is a crawler like cryptid, but here it is. First encounter was at dusk. I was visiting his farm with another friend. We were walking along the riverbank about 600 meters away from his house. Across the riverbank is a thick forestry. My friend was making calls or whistles with his hands when the exact same whistle was repeated back to us from across the river, not like an echo. It sounded like it came from the woods. This creeped us out. So we started walking back to the house. The path back to the house is surrounded by shrubs and small trees. Beyond that is a large field. After a few minutes of walking, we start hearing rustling and footsteps around those trees on the path. We looked down to see if there was a rabbit or something. At the clearing of the brush, there stood a long, twisted, pale foot. We immediately bolted to the house and locked the door. Second experience was at night, a few weeks after the first. We were camping a few hundred meters from his house. At around 1 a.m., we began hearing footsteps around the outside of our tent. At first, we thought maybe a deer or something, but it began sounding more and more like heavy bipedal footprints. I got closer and closer until it reached the outside of the tent, and then the sound vanished. The next morning, we found a very long human-like footprints near the tent. Since then, my friend reported hearing tapping on his bedroom window, various howling type noises, and occasionally seeing long, slender figure near the tree line. He also contacted a couple of his neighbors about it, and they seem to have similar experiences as well, such as seeing the noises, figures, and even livestock killed en masse. However, these disturbances seem to have halted over the years past. What do you reckon this is? Bear in mind, we live in New Zealand. We don't have wolves, cougars, coyotes, or basically any natural predators except for spiders. This is probably the best documented one right here. November 13th, 2024, 6:16 a.m. This all happened closer to 5:30, but I couldn't write it up yet because I had wake up chores to do first. For the first time in a while, I finally saw glowing eyes and could hear a lot of movement from the woods in a few spots. I couldn't see the eyes clearly for all of the remaining brush. It's been very warm, so the foliage hasn't dropped as fast. This is the first chilly night since October, so I am not surprised this is the first night I have seen or heard them. The visible eyes were watching from Carl's area. I heard one moving around a lot in the woods just north of me. I could hear another one back closer to the barn/whimsy area, but one was right in the backyard. I even caught a glimpse of its pale skin as it ducked behind a large bush planted right beside the house. I did not see any glowing eyes. It seemed a little similar than typical crawlers. It seemed a little smaller than typical crawlers. But I have read people seeing them in family units. Plus, my very first impression of them when I saw them for the first time was that it's a familial group. Perhaps this was a younger one. I do believe with a little more certainty that they can go invisible. While I stopped being able to see the one that was in my backyard, I could hear it because of the dried leaves. Skippy started barking again. I could see it, but the sound and energy were defensive with a touch of aggressiveness. And it was false lunging toward our dog Skippy with short lunge forward, immediately step back. So it looks like a threat, but it's only acting defensively. I think it was more of a bluff, but I kept Skippy on a short leash right next to me to make sure. I bent down to pet Skippy to calm him down for a moment. The crawler energy changed and it stopped making lunging sounds. I think it realized I wasn't going to let Skippy loose. Once I felt safe enough to move again, I brought Skippy back to the house and went back to the back door to see if anything was still around there. But they already have left. To give an idea just how close it was to me, I am talking a matter of feet, maybe 15 feet away at most. I was on the side of the house between the house and the garage looking at me and the backyard. It was just on the other side of this very large bush we have planted at the corner of the house. Honestly, once I couldn't see it and could only hear its movements, it was uncomfortably close even for me. While I was aware of the different energy signatures, I also learned that unless they look at me, I am not going to be able to read them very much. I am sad that I didn't feel Carl. His energy towards me is lighter and friendlier, presumably because he knows me as much as a crawler and multiple brief encounters. Since these crawlers don't seem to know me, I am going to have practice more caution like I had when all of this first started. I am also going to have to try to communicate with them to make sure they understand. Even though this is frustrating, at least I know what to do. Their appearance patterns are lining up with the past. No moon and cold temperatures. Temperature was 53, clear sky, no moon, light wind, 8 miles an hour. Dulce is 100% real, Tracy. There's no question about that. Dulce wouldn't be Area 52. The Dulce base was way before Area 51. So, and there's VATS and stuff. It's on level 7, but that makes no sense of Area 52. Dulce would be before Area 51 was even a thing. The base was even there. The base was there. That's in 1934 was when they had the creatures there. The presidents met with Truman, Eisenhower, Roosevelt. They met with the Gray and the reptilians at Dulce. Level 7 is the Nightmare Hall, which is like worse than any place on Earth, I guess. 6 6 is where they do the, like, where freaking Captain Richards, who's in prison, Captain Richards saw, and Costello saw a impregnated woman the size of a cow getting milked for these creatures that they were. I wish I could share links to the videos that I've done on that. Would I still camp? Yeah, I'd camp. I like camping. Well, New Mexico, the northern part of New Mexico is a deep underground facility. It's not even a dumb because it existed before the military. That whole word dumb is dumb because the military only honed in on those bases and then claimed them as their own, but they don't even own them. They can't even control the Gray or the Dracos. So, like, from Taos, Los Alamos, Dulce, even into Colorado, into like the southern part, all the Archuleta Mesa, there's a huge base. It's like a city under there. And Dulce is just a small piece of it. Fucking life and times. I want to go to New Mexico so bad just so I can look at this place. Like I just want to see how, one, it's beautiful, but two, I just want to like look and see how like interesting it is. Like there's one story where a guy, what's his name? He was a sheriff there. He wrote a book. His son found the book, and he was writing a book right before he died. His son found it in the garage and printed it, and there's only like 500 copies worldwide. It's almost like the Giants of the Solomon Island book that I found. But he was walking into a grocery store, and he walked by a family of Native Americans, and they all had black eyes. Even the baby had black eyes, and he got this really off feeling from them. Phil Schneider I have tons of interviews with Phil Schneider on the channel. He's definitely telling the truth. That's why they killed him. That's why they killed him. They killed Bill Cooper. You don't, if you really think about all the people that have been hung, like Phil Schneider, his end of life was so strange. Bill Cooper, when they shot him 600 feet from his house, left him bleeding, and waited until he died to move him. There's a reason why, like, all of these people who investigate abductions of children are showing up life ended, like they ended their own lives. Chester Benningfield was looking into it. His dad was part of like the CIA or some shit like that. Yeah, that's exactly what I said, SDL. There's no way he could have killed himself. Is there a lag in the chat? Always lagging. No, because I said, like, it's just weird because I said what I said prior to how when I was like, Snyder couldn't have unalived himself, and then like a minute after SDL said it, it was like, is there a lag? Not like a lag, Sonia, but like almost like the chat doesn't coincide with when I'm talking. It's weird. No, not the typing. Not the typing. Wiley. No, I don't mean typing. It's like a lag, like time wise, because I've noticed it. It's weird. Because all this shit is connected. It's really interesting. It's slow. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. SDL slower. Thank you. But like the connection is there. If you really think about like Skinwalker at the Pentagon, that book, how it literally breaks the truth wide open, and most people don't see it because, like, okay, you have 5 naval intelligence officers that are researching a UFO. They debrief at Skinwalker Ranch rather than going to the Pentagon. So they debrief with NIDS, which is weird. Naval intelligence debriefing with a non-governmental science organization. After those men leave Skinwalker Ranch, but they had encounters at Skinwalker Ranch because there's a book that depicts all of their encounters that they saw. They leave there, and then their families have experiences with shadow people, phantom footsteps, orbs, and dogmen. And they were all experiences before like people were even talking about Dogman on YouTube. So you have a connection of 5 different things. Then in that same book, they talk about the residents in Utah 20 miles and closer, the surrounding area of Skinwalker Ranch, all having encounters with dogmen, ranging from priests to Native Americans, police officers, doctors. Well, there is a race of people Tracy, there's a race of humans that are on Earth right now. There's a whole race of humans that are on Earth that literally are reptilian, that literally are demon, the whole race of them. And they practically run the government. They run everything from big pharma to the military industrial complex. Yes. Holidays and just said it. Well, no, that's the glitch isn't really. I look into the 13 bloodlines, the family 13 bloodlines, and then you'll understand that race of the humans. It's the glitches are like almost a fictitious thing. It's kind of funny if you think about it. The glitch is like almost comical to think about, like those glitches, there's only a few handful of them that are real. The majority of them are made up. So if you know about the 13 bloodlines, then you'd know about the race of people that I'm talking about. And they are all reptilian. And I think that's why, like, the majority of the people that fuck with the government end up unalived. A society isn't a race of people. Neutrino. D&D had the best time. Hannah Banana. Thank you, Johnny Ohm. The Thule Society, you mean? This society? Well, here. This is. You guys are funny. Oh, I love it. Here. Let me get into something. Hang on one second. Give me 1 second. Okay. Shit. Ugh. Okay. All right. Boop. Here we go. All right. So the DuPont bloodline. Where is it? The DuPont, the Rockefeller, the Bundy, the Collins, the Reynolds, the McDonald. Which tie into the Moriah and the Mormon leadership. The 13 bloodlines tie into them. The Merovingian bloodline. Here it is right here. Boop. Boop. Rothschild. There it is. Where is that? Here it is, right here. All right. These are the 13 bloodlines right here. And then there's interconnected. The Astor bloodline, the Bundy bloodline, the Collin bloodline, the DuPont bloodline, the Freeman bloodline, the Kennedy bloodline, the Lee bloodline, the Onassis, the Reynolds, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Russell, Van Duyn, the Moravian European royal family is the Moravian. The interconnected is the Disney, Krupp, and McDonald bloodline. Those are the 13 bloodlines with 3 interconnected and the European family bloodline, the Moravian. No, his name's Victor. Vic Cundiff is a different person. Victor is dead. The Masons are not bad. Like, that is such a myth. My family, I have my whole family are Masons. Like, that is my Masonic badge right there. No, you're good. It's Victor. It's Victor. There's a podcast, Locklear. There's a whole podcast of it. Like, set up. I have all of his videos set up on there. If you go like into posts or what, how is it listed? Oh fuck, what's it? Playlists. BlackRock is an evil thing. BlackRock is completely evil. Masons are not millionaires, Hannah Banana. My whole family, I got to do a deeper. I'm a 6th degree Mason, literally. Look that up and think about that. I have my coin right here where it says, "In God we trust. We believe in Jesus. We protect Jesus." There's my Masonic badge. Like, I don't have to do. It's people that don't know that have to do the realization and the looking into. It's mainly a myth because it's a secret society, which it's not a secret society. Anyone can join. Anyone can join the Freemasonry Society. It's not secret. It's like the odd fellows, you know? Like there's no weird shit that goes on. That's just because there's walls and stuff. What 33rd degrees learn a lot. But it's like that's the thing, like people that okay, so the research that you do watching a YouTube video, right, about the 33rd degree of Masonic whatever, or the stupid fucking shows on Discovery, like those are people that are not even they did it to make a society look like the Knights of Templar who defended the Ark of the Covenant, okay, and everything else. They were part of the Mason society. Like they were part of the Masons, the Knights of Templar. The Masons and the Templar Knights were all persecuted because of politics. If you really historically look at it, the Knights of Templar are all part of that. Light warrior, you have to sign an oath to anything. In Boy Scouts, there's oaths. I heard one from Vince. Oh my God. Okay, why don't you go to a Masonic temple and look? Go into one and look. You know what I mean? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I agree with you completely, Hannah. Like, I said this to Pups. Pups was here, or I was talking to Pups the other night about something. And I said, we were talking about religion. And I said something like, Jesus is my savior. And unfortunately, religion is a business. Spirituality is not. Spirituality is like mine and your relationship to God. Religion is a business. So like Christianity, Catholics, Baptists, Mormons, Jehovah Witnesses, that's like a big business. But spirituality, like your connection to Jesus or whoever, is that's a totally different thing. Like essentially when a church becomes a business or a denomination becomes a business, that's part of like that's evil. That's completely evil. I don't understand what your sentence means, Truth Quest. Different levels of masonry, Jeff. Yes, there are. Like, I'm a 6th degree Mason. My dad is a 13th. My grandfather, before he died, was like 18th. Like Brad, who had his Dogman experiences, he is probably the most spiritual person I've ever met. He like you've heard him talk how he won't say God. He says like God's real name and be out of a form of respect. But we were talking about Catholics one night and he got mad at me. And I was like, what are you getting mad at? And he's like, I'm not mad at you. He goes, I'm mad at the fact that people think that because they go to church, they're a good person. And that because I don't go to church, I can't have a connection to Christ. He goes, but I know the Bible more than people who go to church. I think people who aren't in the Masonic order don't know anything about Masonic order, like Warrior. How would you know about anything that you aren't a part of? That's like honestly kind of tarded. I've heard of that. If you look up his name, you'll see he's a grifter, Locklear. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to argue with somebody that knows nothing that they're talking about. They just think they do. So, no SDL. Exactly. They all do a different job, Truth Quest. That's why I said my grandfather was 8. I'm a 6th. There's a lineage. Like, and if you notice, there's a variation between my family will never get. No, they don't. They worship Christ, Truth Quest. That's how little you know on that. I don't think we should talk about something that, unless you are a Mason. I mean, so how can somebody that protects the Holy Grail, how can somebody that protects the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant be bad? You can't. You take a pledge to God. My grandma was named Nana too, 59th. All right, last one of the night. I agree with you, Kurt. I agree with you. And here's something neat to think about. Like, even though I don't agree with the Mormon religion, but if you think about how cool it was of Joseph Smith to like go into the woods in upstate New York. He went into the woods in upstate New York where there's no, like, it's just nature, and prayed to God and found his way of where to go. So, like, essentially, he was in God's church. He was found out everything. Probably neutrino. We're all hanging out being like, what the hell? We're all fucking wrong. Wouldn't that be crazy that if like everything that we thought was real, like, and then we died and we all are on this like crazy fucking plane of existence, just standing there looking at each other, being like, we were all wrong. Holy shit. It's really awesome here. Like, just a whole like fucking like hollow days just had a whole new adventure. Like, and all the arguing and bullshit was for nothing. Like, I was literally, before I get into the last Lizzo thing, I was literally talking to a Muslim last night. And I had probably the most interesting conversation I ever had, like, in a long time, to be honest with you. My hand smelled like weird after I shook his hand, though. Like, I have a thing about touching people. So, like, if I touch someone or, I smelled my hand when I got into my car and I was like, oh, gotta wash my hand. I went to the gas station and washed my hand because it smelled like food or something. But we had the most amazing conversation. And it was cool because, like, I think that there's good Catholics, which once again we just talked about how it's business, right? But like any religion that looks at Jesus like he's a prophet or a savior, I can't I it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like they believe in Jesus. So as a prophet, as a speaker of the truth. And then there's another religion that doesn't, and it's weird to me, you know. But it was like, I don't know, it was a very interesting conversation. And Jesus came before like their main prophet Muhammad. Jesus was like the 24th prophet to come to earth, I guess. But it was so interesting to, like, I don't know, learn something new. I had a completely different view of it. By the Anunnaki, um, I think that, yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard that. I that thing that I plugged into my phone that I was reading is a file that got sent to me like a couple of years ago, and it was interesting. But yeah, um, but like that's kind of like the Anunnaki. I don't know how I feel about that because like I've thought about that whole concept, but that goes against everything I believe as Jesus as my savior. But I have a hard time with things like that too because my spirituality is strong, but I believe in science too. I mean, has anybody ever fought with that? Like you believe in Jesus, in God, but you also believe in science too, you know? It's that's like a weird and hard thing to deal with sometimes. Like how okay, how does so like 70 or 80 years ago, the Catholics or the Pope told everybody on earth that dinosaurs didn't exist. Yet dinosaurs existed, you know? But if dinosaurs didn't if they did exist according to their like time scale, their whole time scale would be off. Like time is just time, you know what I mean? Like I think anything is possible. Like maybe God created the Anunnaki. Here's something I thought about. is what if God did create the Anunnaki, and they weren't demons? Because like part of me thinks they're demons, part of me doesn't, and then they took God's knowledge and he used them as a tool to create humans, even though that's not what I truly believe. But I don't know, it's fucking weird. It's too hard. There's this thing I have that's pretty cool, and then I'll do the Lizzo thing. It's a scientist proving that God exists.
Tell me where God came from. I want you to fill in the story of the rest of...
Okay, here. I hope that you guys can hear this.
Tell me where God came from. I want you to fill in the story of the rest of the beginning of the universe. God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter. Okay, your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong God. Because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant. Because if there were matter but no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. I will answer that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth. There's matter. So you have time, space, matter, created a trinity of trinities there. Just as, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. You have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously. And the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's limited by time, he's not God.
That's a scientist proving that God exists. Like, fuck. Every time I hear that, it makes me smile. If I offended anybody, I apologize right now. Truth Quest and the other person that I was arguing with. If I offended you, I apologize. It was not my intent. The fluorescent hum of the trucker's Oasis sign was the only beacon for miles, a shimmering mirage in the vast, inky expanse of the Idaho night. This wasn't just any truck stop. It was the heart of the kingdom, and its queen was none other than Lizzo. With a laugh that could rattle diesel tanks and a presence that filled every corner of her domain, Lizzo was the undisputed lot lizard matriarch, a sovereign of sass and steel. Her throne was a slightly wobbly stool in the counter of Brenda's greasy spoon. Her crown a sequenced bandana, and her subjects a motley crew of truckers, fellow lot lizards, and the occasional lost tourist who stumbled into her orbit. Her love, Earl, a lanky man of perpetually grease-stained cap and a heart of gold, was her most loyal knight. He usually held court beside her, nursing a lukewarm coffee. His quiet devotion, a stark contrast to Lizzo's flamboyant reign. Tonight, however, Earl was wrestling with a particularly stubborn flat on his rig, his grunts echoing faintly from the far end of the lot. "Another glorious night at the Oasis, baby," Lizzo declared, raising a half-eaten donut. Tell him, Brenda, ain't no place like it. Brenda, a woman whose scowl concealed a deep, grudging affection for Lizzo, merely grunted as she wiped down the counter. Depends on who you ask, Lizzo. Got enough weirdos passing through to fill a circus tent. Lizzo merely chuckled, a sound like gravel rolling down a hill. Brenda had no idea how right she was. Many moons ago, under a blood orange Idaho moon, Lizzo had faced down the 7 deadly dwarfs, led by the surly Grimy, in an epic brawl over territorial rights and a peculiar, juicy sack of pork rinds. Lizzo, with the help of her well-aimed tire iron and her formidable personality, had sent them packing, leaving Grimy with a permanent twitch in his left eye and a lifelong aversion to the truck stop cuisine. But triumphs, even legendary ones, have a way of echoing through the forgotten corners of the world. And tonight, those echoes have stirred something small, angry, and exceedingly well-groomed. Damn it. Hidden deep within the overgrown weeds bordering the truck stop, a sinister council of garden gnomes were gathering. Their leader, a formidable 21-inch gargoyle named Wilbur, stood atop an overturned paint can, his pointy red hat casting a dramatic shadow over his stony, grimaced face. She defiled our king, Wilbur shrieked, his voice surprisingly deep rumble for a creature of his size. The 8 deadly dwarves, wait, no, 7. She shamed 'em. Grimy still can't look at a pork rind without weeping into his beard. A chorus of tiny enraged murmurs rose from the assembled gnomes. Their miniature pickaxes, spades, and fishing spears glinted menacingly in the ambient light behind. These weren't your grandmother's benevolent pipe-smoking garden ornaments. These were descendants of warriors with a volatile magic derived from centuries of guarding mystical toadstools and occasionally tripping, unassuming humans. They were pissed. Tonight, Wilbur thundered, pointing a gnarled finger towards the trucker's oasis, we reclaim our honor. We shall unleash chaos. We shall demand a formal apology and perhaps a free coffee. The gnomes cheered, their tiny little battle cries barely audible over the distant drone of Earl's air wrench. Lizzo, meanwhile, holding court, regaling a couple of new lot lizards, Sparkle and Candy Cane, with tales of her past conquests. And then I told Grimy, look, short stuff, this ain't no petting zoo. You want to rumble? You got to bring more than bad breath in that dusty beard. Suddenly, the lights flickered, a growl deeper than more guttural than the usual rumble of idling engines vibrated the floor. Brenda dropped a stack of plates. What tarnation? Then they saw them, hundreds of them, swarming from the weeds across the tarmac, their glowering faces illuminated by the neon. Miniature pitchforks held aloft, tiny axes glinted, red hats bobbling like angry wave. Gnomes, hundreds of them, and they looked furious. Well, butter my biscuits, Lizzo said, her eyes widening slightly. Looks like Grimy told his cousins. Earl, having finally wrestled the tire into submission, emerged from behind his rig, wiping his hands on his overalls. He took one look at the approaching army of garden statuettes and dropped his wrench with a clang. Lizzo, what in blazes are those? Those tiny little men in hats. Trouble, Earl Sugar, she said. Already on her feet, her voice, usually playful, had a steely edge to it. And they look like they mean business. Wilbur, riding atop a surprisingly nimble remote-controlled monster truck, sped directly toward Lizzo, stopping inches from her massive biker boots. He pointed his miniature spade at her. Lizzo, you fiend, you scoundrel, you big person. We are the Gnomish Vengeance Collective, and we demand satisfaction for the dishonor you brought upon our distant cousins, the 7 deadly dwarves. Lizzo peered down at them. 7 deadly dwarves? Honey, I recall 7 grimy dwarves who tried to steal my last corn dog, and they got what was coming to them. You mock us, Wilbur shrieked. Charge for Grimy and the two toadstools for the free refills. The gnomes swarmed the trucker oasis, erupted into pandemonium. Truckers, initially stunned, quickly rallied. This was Lizzo's kingdom, and no tiny disgruntled lawn ornament was going to desecrate it. Earl, surprisingly agile for his size, grabbed a tire iron. Brenda, with a shriek, armed herself with a supersized spatula. Sparkle and Candy Cane, surprisingly resourceful, began hosing down the attacking gnomes with industrial strength window cleaner. Damn it, I hate when this happens. Lizzo, however, was a force of nature. She grabbed a giant plastic big gulp cup, still half filled with sody, and used it as a blunt weapon, splatting gnomes like particularly persistent flies. She kicked over the display of air fresheners, sending tiny pine tree shapes raining down on them. A gnome with a sharp fishing spear tried to jab her in the ankle, only to find himself flung against a pile of roadside flyers. You want to fight, short stuff? She bellowed, her voice echoing over the tiny battle cries. You came to the right truck stop. We got grease, we got gravel, and we got a queen who ain't afraid of no miniature militia. Wilbur, surprisingly cunning, had maneuvered his monster truck beneath one of Lizzo's boots, trying to disable her. But Lizzo was too quick. With a mighty stomp, she crushed the remote-controlled vehicle, sending Wilbur tumbling. He landed with a disgruntled huff, his hat askewed. You'll never defeat us, he yelled, scrambling to his feet. We have magic! Before he could finish, Earl, with a surprisingly accurate throw, lobbed a half-eaten hot dog at Wilbur. It struck the gnome squarely in his face, knocking him off balance and sending the tiny magical staff clattering to the ground. Earl, my love, Lizzo cheered. What a shot! Wilbur, smelling faintly of ketchup and relish, looked up at Lizzo, his stony face contorted into a frustrating rage. But he saw the organized chaos, the determined faces of the truckers and the lot lizards, the sheer unbridled power of Lizzo herself. This wasn't just a truck stop. This was a fortress. Retreat! Wilbur shrieked, scrambling for his staff. The condiments are too powerful. They have greatness. Who throw soda. The gnomes and their moral broken, but by the overwhelming force of Lizzo's personality and Earl's hot dog began scattering, disappearing back into the weeds as quickly as they appeared. The battle, the epic absurdity was over. Lizzo surveyed her slightly dented kingdom, a triumphant grin spread across her face. Well, that was a Tuesday, she declared, picking up a stray gnome hat. Earl, wiping the sweat from his brow, put his arm around her. You're magnificent, Lizzo, our queen. Brenda merely grunted. Now who's going to clean up all these tiny pointed hats? Lizzo winked. That's a job for Sparkle and Candy Cane. They owe me a favor. Tonight we celebrate. Free coffee for everyone. A cheer went up. The trucker's oasis, once again, pulsed with its usual boisterous energy. The memory of the pint-sized invasion already faded into legend. Lizzo, the lot lizard queen, the warrior and lover, settled back onto her wobbly stool, her domain safe once more. She knew, deep down, and more absurd threats would come. More bizarre creatures would challenge her rule. But with Earl at her side, a loyal kingdom at her back, and a bottomless well of sass, Lizzo was ready for anything, even if it was just another Tuesday night in Idaho. Thank you, SDL, Neutrino. Zilla! I almost put it there. It almost landed there. DB Mac, what's up, my friend? I'll do it before the night ends. I hope you accepted my apology, Truth Quest, because I really did not mean to upset anyone, to be honest with you. Mayo Taco Tuesday. Oh, that's fucking gross, dude. Thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm used to it. No. Thank you, Rochelle. Ugh. What do you think about that guy that disappeared though in the in Hood Mountain? In Mount Hood. It sounds almost similar to the Tom Mezek case. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Can we hear that again though? Because this is I don't care what anybody says. This has got to be the greatest thing.
Tell me where God came from.
One more time.
The story of the rest of the beginning of the universe. God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter. Okay. Your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong God. Because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant. Because if there were matter but no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth. There's matter. So you have time, space, matter created a trinity of trinities there. Just as, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. Have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously. And the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's limited by time, he's not God.
That's so fucking good, man. Mount Hood disappearance recently. All right.
Devin Dobek, a 51-year-old hunter, went missing on October 31st after a trip to Mount Hood National Forest. Search efforts were suspended, but his body was found near Fish Creek Trailhead in mid-November.
The only difference is they found his body. But he disappeared October 31st. Search efforts were suspended. Supposedly, the man is described as an experienced hunter. His disappearance prompted a large search. Devin Dobek, 51, reported missing. And what was interesting is what they said, how they found him. They literally, all the news said was believed to be him. So authorities believe they found the remains of the missing hunter, Devin Dobek, in a remote area of Mount Hood National Forest. Rope teams and multiple agencies spent 2 days navigating the difficult terrain. Downed trees, poor light to recover the body. How did his body get to where if they had to rope into it and climb into this area, how did his body get there? They had such a difficult time to get there. Sheriff's office said identification is pending and thanked the numerous search and rescue groups for their assistance. Authorities in Oregon believe they recovered the remains of Devin Dobek, who went missing on Mount Hood on Halloween. Timeline. Clackamas County Sheriff's Office said it was notified Saturday afternoon that a body had been spotted in a difficult-to-reach area near the Fish Creek Trailhead. Authorities said community members, friends, and family members were searching the area when they saw what appeared to be a body at the base of a cliff. A specially trained rope team with the sheriff's office responded at around 4:30 to recover the body. The mission required a river crossing, traversing several hundred yards, and after losing daylight, crews had to hold off until the next morning. On conducted a second attempt and deployed the teams from Fish Creek Campground and from an area off NF 45 road where several downed trees, the evacuation route. So for about 10 hours, the crews from multiple agencies worked to clear the roadway to get the vehicles to get to the washed out section of the road. Rope teams reached the body by 1 p.m. and spent several hours carrying the remains through the rough terrain to reach the roadway. According to the sheriff's office, it is believed that it was his body, but identification will come when the Clackamas County Medical's office declares it. We would like to thank everybody, by the numbers. The sheriff's office said the effort it took this. So this is who it took to find this poor man. But that's pretty big fucking, like, how did his body get there? Like, you couldn't get there without all of this, but his body is there. Sheriff's office said the effort to locate Devin Dobick was made possible by the help of these following agencies: the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue, Pacific Northwest Search and Rescue, Portland Mountain Rescue, Mountain Wave Energy Communications, Hood River Crag Rats, Mary's Peak SAR, Columbia County Sheriff's Office, Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, Hood River County Sheriff's Office, Marion County Sheriff's Office, Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, Polk County Sheriff's Office, Washington County Sheriff's Office, Lake Oswego Police Department, Oregon Office of Emergency Management, State SAR Coordinator Scott Lucas, 304th Rescue Squadron, Oregon National Guard, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation was there. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is there. Tell me how, and they only get involved. The feds only come if it was tender-aged youth or he crossed state lines. What's crazy is someone go missing and they find him in the spot where they already searched. You know, that only reminds me of what Locklear said. They literally in that police, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when what's his name? Honecker, Richard Timothy Honecker went missing in Virginia, and they found his body. And I called Tazewell Police Department, and I said, I've got it on recording. It's on the channel. And I said, hey, I go, can you please? I said, this is Jeff. I use Jeffrey Michael. My name is Jeffrey Michael. I'm an independent reporter. Can you please tell me about the body that was located in the culvert? Was that Richard Timothy Honecker? And he goes, which body? Now, the news never said there was another body found with his, but the sheriff's office told us that there was another body found. How crazy is that? No, I'm looking into that right now, Kimberly. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find that. This is the longest live stream we've ever done. Do you realize that, guys? This is literally the longest live stream we've ever done. I'm having fun. Hang on. How do I get to it? Jeff Madolmy, MADONY, Virginia, missing. Maybe it'll be in here. Virginia missing. Another Dogman. Is this it? Is this it?
Sheriff's Office at 304.
Nope, that's West Virginia. Hang on. It's a short video, so let me find it. Because he literally like let the cat out of the bag when we were talking. Oh, where the fuck is it? Is that it? Photo evidence. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. I wish I had my laptop up here. God damn it. Oh, I don't have it there anymore. Fuck. Idaho. Police. That's what we'll do. Police. Boop. I'm gonna have to find it. Fuck me. I had it pulled up the other day because I wanted to share it with you guys, but I fucking deleted it. Or not deleted it, but Tazwell. That's what I'll put in. Tazwell. Boop. 13 update boots on the ground. Disappear 3 years ago. Is that it? Nope. That's boop. The 8th body found. Cover up. Terrifying peeping Tom. Terrifying. Shit. It was like a 13-minute video. God damn it. Oh, I just want to find it. Anyway, I thought it was weird because I have it here somewhere. It's on the channel, but I literally just said, can you tell us about the body that was discovered in the culvert? And he said, which one? And then I said, wait, there's 2 bodies missing? And then I said, Richard Timothy Honecker. And you could tell that he got really quiet during the conversation. I recorded the phone call and I shared it 3 years ago, but I can't find it now. I'm going to have to go through all these videos and make a whole fucking list of these because that's something that should be heard many times just to have. So is that it? No, that's not it. Well, fuck my face. I can't find it. I can't find it. Sorry. Yeah, it was in Georgia. It was in Georgia, Kimberly. I am not a dog owner, but my mom's German Shepherd is making weird crying, whimpering sound, being barking. Why would a dog do that at night? Why would they do that at night? Probably because something's out there that it's not aware of, or something's making it nervous. Rochelle. Exactly. Truth Quest just said the same thing I did. Something's making it nervous and it's not aware of what it is. Especially a German Shepherd. They're, like they are great dogs. They're friendly dogs, but they're very loyal and protective dogs. Very smart. So yeah, that would. And that's exactly why at the end of every video I say, keep an eye on your children, your pets, and your family and friends, because the children is the greatest gift we can be given. Our pets are our greatest alarm system we can ever have, especially dogs. And family and friends are the people that we care about the most. So, oh, thank you, YouTubing. Appreciate that. Really do. Thank you. Colleen, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us. Her chihuahua would get angry, but that night she slept through. Yeah, chihuahuas are little dicks. Chihuahuas are like cats, They got a whole little attitude of themselves. uh I can't get a dog yet. I just want a dog. I think when Tigger passes away, I'm going to embrace my gray hair. Oh, Nana Bear, there you go. When Tigger passes away, I'm going to get a dog, but I'm going to have to wait for a little bit. But I'm going to get a wine rhymer. I didn't know we were bad, PG. Were we bad? I was agreeing with what you were saying. Even about my cat. Yeah, God has no limits. I wonder how many times I've been in the woods fishing. That's a great Locklear. That's a great thing. We're always good, PG. I didn't even know we were bad. Was it about the thing about your son? Because I was agreeing with you on that. I want a wine rhymer just because they're smart. They're fucking smart dogs, But I've often wondered that myself, Light World. I've often wondered that myself. Like, how the hell are they doing that, like, digitally? You know what I mean? Jeff. Hey, Jeff. Love tour quirk. Don't know what that means. I'm glad that you're here, Nathan. If I get any bad vibes. What were we saying? There was something that I was looking at. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here. That's what I wanted to say. Much love from the land down under. Do you like Vegemite? Can't beat a mutt. You're absolutely right. So Locklear said, I wonder how many times, because Vegemite smells like ass. Okay. Simone is from Australia as well, and she sent me a tub of Vegemite, and every time I smell that, it smells like fucking ass. I don't even know. It is like fuck, gross. But I wasn't raised on it. I can imagine if I was raised. Tigger does not like it either, Truth Quest. Tigger went like this. And then went back for a second smell, because that's what cats do. And then fucking walked away. But better than I've heard that Marmite is like less. I heard that it was less than Vegemite, right? I heard it was less bitter or less salty or something like that. With butter? Yeah, maybe. Vegemite is like ass soup. It's very close. And speaking of that, DB Mac. What about says, what about? That was for DB Mac. There you go, DB Mac. You'd have to have a lot of butter on that. You'd have to have a lot of butter for that ass toast. All right, so really quick, the thing that Locklear said, I wonder how many times I've been in the woods and not seen something, but have been watched. Something similar. I remember I was talking to a guy who said that if Bigfoot and Dogman existed, then why, and he's like, and I've been hunting for a long time, then why haven't I seen one? And I said, well, how many deer have you shot in your life? And he said, 5. And I said, how many years have you been hunting? And he's like, 20. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, that's pretty piss poor. But anyway, I said, do you notice every squirrel that's in the woods? Do you notice every fucking fox that's in the woods? How many times do you see a fox when you're in the woods? These things are designed to live in the woods. They live in the woods. They hunt those woods. Deer fawns lay and hide in fields. We don't see them. So these things are throughout the woods. We don't notice them. They notice us because we aren't from the woods. I mean, we go in the woods, but are we from the woods? No. So they are there watching us often as possible. Like there's that video. I don't know how I feel about the video clip, but the guy is walking through the woods, right? And he sees it. You can see it. It looks like there's like a tree and the Bigfoot's like this, right? Looking at him. And the dumb cocksucker keeps walking to it. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Turn around. He keeps walking. He gets up to it and it goes, disappears. He goes, around the tree, there's nothing there. I'm like, why would you first go to it when it could get your butt? I'm not saying running. I'm just saying walking away from it. Because the day when I was at Tom Mezek, where Tom Mezek disappeared, and that thing came off the fucking the mountainside and hit the trail, and then I'm walking down the trail, I see it, and I stop, and I'm literally got my camera up, and I just stop, and I'm like, and I turned around and walked the other way. I didn't run. I didn't even act like I noticed it. I just turned around and walked the other way. The only other time that I left that area was when whatever that was came blasting through the woods behind me. And that's when you saw me running down the fucking trail. Oh my God, we're getting out of here. They use portals, I believe, Tracy thoughts. I believe portals. Have you guys looked at that website? What's it called? Something Mathematics. What is it called? There's some like website called Something Mathematics. Shackleneck's probably sleeping right now. He was the one that told me about it. Mathematics. And it's not about mathematics. It's political. Stupid mathematics. Something mathematics. Next live stream, I'm going to share. I own a Ouija board, Peanut. Next live stream, I will share the website that you guys can check out because it's pretty freaking cool. It's really cool. Actually, Locklear, you're 100%. They are in the tree. That's why I literally say look up all the time. Like, always be aware of your surroundings. But for like the longest time, for like literally probably 5 years, I thought that Tom Mezek was abducted by a dogman until I really sat down and thought about everything. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, nothing. A dogman attacked him and took him. Popular mathematics. Fuck, what is it? Something mathematics. Anyway, next week I'll share the website that I'm trying to think about with you guys because you guys will be like, holy shit, this is some of the craziest stuff I've seen. It's literally about politics and the it's like an awakening for us that the government doesn't want us to know about, I guess. So anyway, longest live stream on history for us. Guys, I had a great night. I hope you guys did too. Truth Quest, thank you for joining us tonight. Once again, I apologize to you. I responded to you, didn't I, Sumner? Thank you, SDL. It was a good night, long night. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good night. Thank you again. And I love you guys all.